to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pulled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
GB News is completely unique in the way that we interact with our viewers.
Our audience aren't afraid to have their say. They want their voices heard now, and they've got a channel where that can happen.
I find more and more as I'm wandering around, people come up to me and they say, we saw you on television. I say, oh yes, on what? On GB News.
Hello, are you the famous Sue? The whole crew hit me here now. We came to celebrate.
It's our job to be the eyes and ears of the viewers.
They are part of the GB News family, and I'm pleased to say it's a very large family.
And if people go to the time and trouble of listening and watching, then we've got to do a good job for them.
Well, I'm here, right in the epicentre of the protest.
Here we go again. If you just tuned in, where have you been?
It is raucous here tonight.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Good morning, live from Washington, D.C. This is Bev Turner on GB News with the stories shaping Great Britain and the United States of America tonight.
I just got off the phone with President Trump, who is following the developing situation across the region. He told me what I would suggest to Iran. You've shot your missiles. That's enough. Get back to the table. And
4 hours is a long time in geopolitics. Last night, President Trump was urging Iran to calm down. Now he's told Israel they could be on their own if they don't calm down. Stick with us for the latest developments on the Iran conflict. Meanwhile, tonight.
Death to the man who shot me. It is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances.
That gentleman there, believe it or not, had actually been killed in an accident and was artificial intelligence during a trial in America. Honestly, the future is racing towards us, isn't it? The UK is set to introduce more AI via virtual legal assistants in our courtrooms. We're not quite there yet with that guy speaking, but it's only a matter of time. Also tonight.
These weight loss jabs play a role as part of the overall set of interventions that you can make to help people lose weight and to where they can work, get back into work, which is good for them and good for the economy.
So that was our Health Secretary on the effectiveness of weight loss jabs. Well, now there are weight loss pills. Is that a game changer? Would you be happier taking a pill than an injection? And whatever happened to diet and exercise? Also tonight.
You shouldn't be able to have billions, right? I think there should be a limit to how much you can have, because there's enough to go around to everyone. So
I feel a bit sorry for him. Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton there, an estimated fortune of as much as £500 million himself. His missus, Kim Kardashian, worth nearly £2 billion. So what exactly is he talking about? We'll discuss that a little later. I'm Bev Turner and this is The Late Show Live. Very warm welcome to The Late Show live from Washington. Joining me this evening in the studio, my panel, Republican strategist Matthew Hurt. How are you, Matthew?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Good, great to be back. And former Obama policy advisor Laurie Watkins.
Hello.
Are you winning, Laurie?
Oh, I'm winning.
And in London, political commentator Jonathan Liss and head of communications for Friends of British Overseas Territories Rob Midgley is joining us this evening as well. Gentlemen, Jonathan, I've missed you. It's been 2 weeks. How have you been?
Bev, I've been pining for you every single night. I'm so happy to be back with you.
Wow. And Rob, it's so nice to have you. I haven't had you in the studio in London before, joining Late Show Live like this. Looking forward to this evening.
Thank you very much for having me. First time with you.
Okay,
First
Jonathan
time caller,
Liss
long time
can be
listener.
a little, a little unpredictable and a little mischievous. So, you know, if you need help, just holler. We'll be right there with you, Rob. But moving on to our main news this evening. President Trump has tonight warned the Israeli Prime Minister that he could find himself on his own if he returned to war with Iran. He's told news site Axios, I said, Bibi, you better be careful or you'll be on your own very soon. And moments ago, in a brief chat with Sky News, President Trump was asked whether Benjamin Netanyahu could return to war with Iran, and he replied, I don't think it'll happen. It's all working out very well. Iran is doing what they have to do. I don't think that's going to happen, okay? So let's remind ourselves of what President Trump said about Benjamin Netanyahu recently. It comes after President Trump wrote this on his Truth Social. He said both sides, Israel and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. Final negotiations on peace are proceeding. Now that followed fighting that had resumed in the Middle East, with Israel and Iran launching strikes at each other. Let's talk now to geopolitical specialist in Middle East security, energy markets and regional conflict dynamics, Arathi Krishnan, joins me now. Arathi, thank you for joining us on The Late Show Live. We're over 100 days now into this conflict. This is not what President Trump wanted. What do you make of these latest exchanges here? What does it mean for the relationship between America and Israel? Where does this leave Iran? Just your general thoughts this evening, Arathi. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much, Bev, and thanks for having me. It's such a complicated situation. I mean, I've said this for the last couple of months, right? The U.S. current administration going in, I would argue, really underestimated Iran's resolve and the way it is going to approach this sort of conflict. This was not a case of decapitating the leader of the regime, as in the supreme leader, and then everything would collapse, which I would argue and believe that is what the administration first thought when they killed the supreme leader. In fact, the whole apparatus has just sort of kicked into place for a practice they have actually put in motion over the last few decades since the Iraq War. Here, what I would caution our listeners to think about and to pay attention to is the story of two narratives. What Western media wants us to hear, which is very much triggered on this administration's announcements, versus what is actually coming out of other non-Western media sources, which tells you a completely different story. And that's a very fascinating thing to consider. Last week, when it depended a lot, sorry, you were going to say something.
No, carry on, Arathi, carry on.
So was it a week or 2 weeks ago when a lot of it was on Thursday, Trump was going to make an announcement, and markets, both equity and oil markets, were pricing itself based on this announcement. And there were a lot of headline announcements coming out. And so markets were pricing based on an announcement being made. But outside of that, there was a completely different story. There was no narrative coming out of Tehran that there was any kind of agreement in place that fulfilled what the Washington's 10-point plan said it was. It's like listening to two different sides of the story. And that is what I would love our listeners to really pay attention to.
So you think that this war is acting as what? A useful piece of apparatus for the markets? And are you suggesting that the American administration are somehow in on that?
Oh, no, not at all. What I'm saying is that what this particular regional war is illustrating is how one specific strait can literally bring the entire world to its knees. It is using this particular, and while the US administration or any other administration in the global north might say, we want to come in place and to convince Iran's leadership to think about opening the strait. At the end of the day, Iran and Oman are in different discussions by themselves because they are the two littoral states that they believe have the only power and the sovereign right to coordinate. Secondly, what this is also paying attention to are states, whether you think that they are strong or they are weak, whether you believe in their democratic or non-democratic principles, have the sovereign, in their own belief of their sovereign right to protect themselves and what that comes across to the rest of the world. And I think that's a really fascinating discussion that we ought to be having.
And of course, here in America as well, there is the dynamic between President Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu and how that plays to the popularity or the lack of it where it comes to President Trump. And I feel like this latest statement from Trump about the fact that he will leave Bibi on his own, what do we read into that?
I believe, again, and I've said this for a while, that we need to distinguish and differentiate between what comes out on Truth Social posts or what comes out on headlines based on what one individual is saying versus what is actually happening. And here, paying attention to what happens under the headlines might give us more nuance and insight into this very complex dynamics that are occurring here. Let's pay attention. It isn't the US that is mediating any kind of talk. It is Pakistan. It is Pakistan. And China, to an extent. They've been able to influence this a lot more. Pakistan has been able to at least craft efforts of an off-ramp where the US hasn't been able to. The UK, as you yourself know, the administration there has worked on bringing together NATO members, excluding the US, to look at how they handle the situation. So again, I think we need to be really smart about how we perceive traditional roles that the US administration may feel they have versus what is the actual truth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Arathi Krishnan there. Thank you for joining us. Right, let me ask my panel about this. Laurie, you obviously were out in Pakistan when the negotiations were going on. You've been watching this conflict quite carefully. Where are we at with it now? I think it's very difficult, particularly for people in the UK, to know what happens now, how this is going to affect us, which is primarily most people's concerns.
Unfortunately, we're basically at the same place that we were after, and I was with you the night that it started as well, before March 1st, excuse me. We're basically at the same place, Bev. We're at the same place, except that we've lost U.S. service members, except that now the strait is closed, except that there has been 3 months of economic pain and suffering for a lot of people, including people in Great Britain. And there is no end in sight, especially with what happened over the weekend. And visibly and rightfully so, the president is extremely frustrated with Netanyahu's choice of engagement. You don't do things like this when you are actively in a limited ceasefire or a temporary ceasefire, whatever, and you're in negotiations. You don't go and blast the other side. Like, you just don't do that. And this is going to have major consequences.
But of course, the American administration here would say we're not where we were on March the 1st because the Iranian nuclear capability has been dismantled. They have no navy. They have no way of defending themselves. We've heard all this now,
right.
and President Trump is frustrated by the intransience.
Bev, we are 101 days into this conflict. This is a generation. Speaking as a Republican strategist, this is a generational disagreement with the president. Young people who lived through the global war on terror, who many of my friends served, and some even died, not been keen on this since the very beginning, and we are in a different place than we were on February 27th when I was on this program talking about this right before we struck. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, and as we just heard from your previous guest, that is a pinch point for global trade. And what we're seeing, the American in the midterm elections here in just a few months, gas prices are up over $1.50 than what they were when President Trump took office, and most Americans are thinking about that, just like I know many Brits are with the gas prices there. It is absolutely outrageous. We cannot trust the Iranians. We've deposed the Ayatollah. They now have a new one. They're in this mosaic leadership structure. It is almost impossible to tell, one, who to negotiate with, and two, if that person has any authority with the IRGC or the national governing infrastructure of Iran at this time.
And it looks for a little while. We just bring in London as well, because we've got a few minutes for the break. But it looked for a while, Jonathan, Liz, that President Trump's messaging of short-term pain for long-term gain in terms of the economy. If it had landed just like a couple of weeks ago, I think the American people would be on side. But the longer this goes on, the harder that is to sell here.
Bev, the whole premise of this war was based on several misapprehensions on behalf of the Trump administration. He thought that he could replicate Venezuela, the Venezuela model of a decapitation of the leader, followed by very swift regime change, followed by all of Iran's resources flowing into the United States' treasury, or more specifically, Donald Trump's own bank account, because Donald Trump personally, I think, controls a lot of the oil that comes from Venezuela. Obviously, none of those things happened, and all of the casus belli that Trump gave for the war have been proven to be non-existent, certainly not in the implementation. There has been no regime change. The nuclear capacity was already obliterated, in the White House's own words, in the June of last year, so there was no need to attack them again. The Iranian people certainly have been liberated, nor has there been any attempt to, quote-unquote, liberate them. There's been no support of any kind of democracy movement inside Iran. They're clearly not interested in that any more than they're interested in that in Venezuela, where they just install a puppet who is not in favour of democracy at all in Venezuela. So none of those things have remotely happened. The only thing that's happened is that everyone's now poorer off, and a vital waterway that carried 20% of the world's oil supply is now closed, and we haven't even begun to feel the shock of that, Bev. That is coming down the road. The 3 months since it started have been sort of heaven compared to what might be about to hit us in terms of food prices, in terms of starvation for large parts of the world that depend on fertilizer that comes through the straits, and that's just the start of it. So Trump has to answer for this personally, and he's not been able to.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
Rob, will he be
on.
able to? What does it look like if he can? What does success look like so that he can justify what's happened over the last 101 days?
Look, I think Iran has one of the biggest terror networks in the world. It controls Hezbollah, it controls all the different terrorists that are firing off at Israel. And I think he's got a communications problem as a communications professional. I really think that he needs to set out what he's trying to achieve, because he really does need to take apart that terrorism machine, and everyone needs to be able to witness that.
Can I go on, Laurie?
I was just going to say, to build off of that, the part that I find the most absurd every single day that this continues to go on is those of us sitting around the table, those talking heads that I watch as research and listen to. All the Sunday morning shows yesterday are, well, he needs to lay out what his plan is. This is the problem, you guys. He doesn't know what his plan is, and that's why it changes day by day.
No, I think he knew what his plan was,
No,
but I think he
because
underestimated. I think he
yesterday-
underestimated how hard it would be to execute.
With all due respect, Bev, yesterday on Meet the Press with Kristen Welker, he admitted this was a fascinating fact that I can't even believe that he gave a figure to, which was when she asked him, do you know what the capacity of the enriched uranium is that is still within the country that hadn't been obliterated last year when Israel waged those attacks against Iran and Epic Fury, is that what it's called? No, Midnight Hammer, excuse me. Okay, and you know what his answer was, Bev? It was 20%. She was flabbergasted. I was speechless when I was watching that. So was the rest of the global community. To listen to the president say that he knows, and I think that that's either an exaggeration or it's probably more, and he's narrowing it down than what the real figure is, because that's what he tends to do with everything, is that there's 20%, at least 20% enriched uranium still within Iran. And he has no plan, so when pressed on that, how are they going to go get it? Well, you know, maybe with the Chinese. So then she said, so you and the Chinese? And he says, no, the Iranians and we will work together to get it out. How are you going to do that without putting boots on the ground? How are you going to do that when you don't know who's in charge? How are you going to send inspectors in to regulate and put guardrails on all of this to be able to report back?
So go back 101 days. What are you accusing him of?
What am I accusing him of?
If you go back to 101 days,
the Strait is closed. That's the biggest. Difference. As Matthew said.
It's but it's all very well for people who hate this government and President Trump to be slinging
I don't
now
hate
and
my
going,
government at all.
look where he is now, look where he is, da 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 da. Like it's easy now, but what are you accusing him of wanting to do 101 days ago? What was the plan then? What was the point? Because
to make sure
this was obvious.
Keeps saying it, that Iran has never has the ability to have a nuclear weapon.
So his ambition was clear.
Bev,
no, he changed it all the time, Bev.
Is that where we are now? No, are we better off?
No, I don't think the messaging has changed. I think they've been incredibly clear. And I don't just mean President Trump, I mean Rubio and I mean Caroline Leavitt every time she's come out. I think the messaging, if you've been paying close attention, has been consistent.
Bev, there was one interview that Trump gave.
Nuclear weapon.
Bev, there was one interview Trump gave a couple of weeks ago where he said it was about regime change, and he said it wasn't about regime change in the same 5 minutes. He's not been clear in the slightest.
I disagree. I think they've been very clear on
that happened, Bev. That happened.
Jonathan, this will benefit you a little bit. I do think that President Trump thought it was going to be a very similar outcome to Venezuela.
I do. I agree with that.
And it would be wrapped up in 2 to 3 weeks. I think the foreign policy professionals that he surrounded himself. If you go back in your time machine to 2016, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, who's done an excellent job in many other regards, is a bomb everyone all the time foreign policy adventurist. I'm a small L libertarian non-interventionist, and this was a miscalculation. Totally unlike the situation in Venezuela, where he thought we could go in and they wouldn't have this mosaic structure, and the IRGC. I mean, these Iranians, the IRGC, are religiously opposed to the existence of the United States in totality. And it is much different it's much easier to snuff out a communist in Venezuela than it is somebody who holds on to their religious beliefs like this.
But they felt like that for the last 60 or 70 years. And the only thing I would say about Rubio is if you go back to what he was saying in 2017, he is absolutely consistent nearly 10 years later on how he feels about the Iranian government and how he feels about the fact that they want America to be destroyed.
Bev, can we go back to
North Star on that.
Why do we go back to what Donald Trump was saying in 2016 or 2015, where he said that Obama was going to launch a war in Iran to save his poll ratings? Why do we go back to what Donald Trump was saying, actually, in the race to get Donald Trump elected, when he presented the manifesto to the American people, chief among it being that Kamala Harris was the war candidate and Donald Trump would never invade Iran? The United States people voted for that, and what did they get? They got a war with Iran. So you can't say he has no democratic legitimacy for this whatsoever.
Terror networks.
What about it? If Donald Trump was so concerned about that in 2024, when that terror network still existed, he could have said, yeah, I'm going to bomb Iran, going to declare a new war in the Middle East, leading to regional conflagration. He didn't do that, though.
But he said the opposite.
Okay, so we got to go to a quick break. But Jonathan, therefore, I'll ask you the same question as Laurie. What are you accusing him of wanting to do?
I'm accusing him of not knowing what he's doing and lying repeatedly to the American people and his own electorate when he said that he wasn't going to do this thing. They voted for that because the American people don't want this war and never have done, and then going against that and declaring war without any kind of motivation that was been clearly specified. And every single time he says it's going to be 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, it's never 2 weeks. He has no idea what he's doing, and he's outsourcing this war to people who also have no idea.
Yeah, but that's what I find so hilarious. You can accuse him of wanting to do something that you find nefarious in terms of bombing Iran. You can accuse him of having been influenced by Benjamin Netanyahu, perhaps. But you can't really just say he did it because he didn't know what he was doing.
But clearly we just explained how that's the truth, Bev.
Hang on. But what? Yeah, but well, you can't. But you might be many things. But he wants to win elections. And he has
but that's a strange thing. But he thought he was going to win it because he thought it was going to be like Venezuela, Bev.
That's for sure.
He thought it was going to be like Venezuela, and that's why he thought it would be popular and it would be going to be brief. And he's been completely wrong for this. He doesn't know how to get out of the situation. He was warned that it would lead to that Iran would strike out at the Gulf nations. He ignored that. He said he didn't know that was going to happen, even though all the experts said it would. And he said that he had no idea they were going to close the Straits of Hormuz. He says it so we can listen to it. The experts warned that Iran would close Straits of Hormuz, and Trump didn't agree with them. He didn't follow them.
Your argument falls apart because what you're saying is he thought an international war would make him popular in America.
He thought it would be a quick war and he'd win it, and that would win him plaudits.
In America. No, but it doesn't, will it? Because the MAGA base hate him bombing people overseas.
The MAGA base is actually a cult, and they'll do whatever he wants, with notable exceptions that we have on this panel.
It's not about international security than anything.
Polls show that older Americans do support this conflict, but people who would have remembered the Vietnam War, which of course is a dark mark in our history. I think the situation, it is very different than Venezuela. I do think the situation in Venezuela would have played very well among Hispanic Americans, particularly Venezuelans in swing states. And what we've seen in Iran is a situation that did not go as planned, and now we're sort of in this, as I've said on this program before, Charlie Brown and Lucy and the Football, where every 2 weeks it's a scene change, but it's the same scene.
Yeah. Okay, guys, great start. Thank you so much. Right, still to come this evening on the Late Show Live, we're going to look at a few more of the developments in the Middle East. We're going to be joined by a US Army war expert in the studio, and a lot of domestic stories as well tonight from the UK. Don't go anywhere. This is the Late Show Live with Bev, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there.
With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live with me, Bev, back after a couple of weeks back in London. Now, after President Trump's warning to Benjamin Netanyahu that he may be fighting the Iran war on his own, let's remind ourselves what the president said about the Israeli leader.
I wouldn't say angry. I was a little bit perturbed at his constantly fighting with Lebanon. You know, at some point I said, Bibi, we got to stop this. We got to stop it. But I have a very good relationship. We've done well together. He always says we could never have done it, but everybody knows that we could have never done it without the United States. But I've worked very well together. I like Bibi a lot, and I've worked very well with him. We had I'm a wartime president. He's a wartime prime minister. Very important part of the world, and I think we've done very well. We've gotten along very well.
So that was just a few days ago. President Trump there talking about Benjamin Netanyahu. Their relationship is quite fascinating. Let's talk now to research professor at the Strategic Studies Institute at the US Army War College, Azim Ibrahim. Azim, great to see you again. What do you make of this latest twist in the tale today of him telling Bibi he's going to be on his own if he carries on ramping this up?
Yeah, well, Bev, as you know, this has been going on for over 100 days, but the latest skirmish, the latest exchange of missiles lasted only 15 hours, and the reason for that was very straightforward. You know, both sides have something to prove. You know, Iran wants to make sure that the equation in the Middle East has changed. The attack on any of its allies, any of its proxies, is an equivalent to an attack on Iran, and Iran will retaliate. They cannot afford to have a ceasefire just between Iran and the United States while Israel continues to attack his allies. On the other hand, Israel has to prove that they are willing to stand up to Trump, President Trump. So that goes down it doesn't go down well here in the United States, that Netanyahu is defying the president. But for the domestic audience in Israel, it actually enhances Netanyahu quite considerably. He's actually seen as standing up to the president, putting Israeli interest at the forefront and willing to do anything to enhance Israel's security.
And President Trump has to be a bit careful making these threats, doesn't he? Because if he's going to say to Netanyahu, you do that again, you're on your own, he's got to stand by it. And we've heard him sometimes threaten Iran in the process of this conflict, and then capitulate at the last minute and actually row back on some of his threats. Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, the word of the president does have to have credibility. But I'll tell you, the interesting thing I found about this is that if you look at the previous statements from Trump, it's always about Iran must do this, Iran must do that. And if you look at the current statement, he actually said both sides. And this actually is, you know, this is something that Iranians have actually figured out, that is that there is now a distance between the United States and Israel. There's a distance between their interests. The US wants to end this conflict, and this is what Trump is essentially hoping for, you know, opening the Strait of Hormuz, negotiating the nuclear program, whereas Israel still has the objective of trying to destroy the regime and make sure it doesn't rehabilitate itself. And this pinch point, effectively what you've just described there, which is this relationship between America and Israel, is causing all sorts of problems for President Trump here, isn't he? Just explain to our British viewers, Azim, who may not be as familiar with how problematic that is becoming here. We've seen right-wing podcasters ditch President Trump, the likes of Megyn Kelly and Tucker Carlson and candidates, people who've very much veered towards an anti-Israeli stance. And that's blowing back on President Trump's popularity.
Yeah, but at the same time, President Trump's current stance and the manner in which he's managed to handle this actually shows that he's very adept at navigating this space. He stood up to Netanyahu. He's made it very clear that he drew the red line, that nothing should jeopardise the current negotiations and US strategy, which is essentially to get a peace deal and get Iran to the negotiating table and getting Iran to compromise on its nuclear program. So I do think President Trump has kind of laid down the law, if you like, and the Israelis, I think, will eventually realise, if they haven't done so already. I think Netanyahu is probably aware that there's huge limitations to what they can actually do without the United States.
You might have heard our Trump detractors that we've had in the studio and on the programme tonight, and there are many of them all around the world who are saying that when this action was first taken 101 years ago, that President Trump didn't have a clue what he was doing, that he was maybe ill-advised, or that he was naive or gullible or optimistic, that this would be Venezuela Mark II. Do you see it like that?
I'm not sure. You know, people say that, and I was one of them to say, well, look, the objectives are not clear, they have to be clarified. But this is Trump's negotiating style. This is how he does it. This is how he does things. He makes things as vague as possible. He changes the goalposts, and it keeps everybody, you know, on their toes. They just do not know what's coming next. What is the president after? What does success look like? And at the end of the day, he gets what he wants, and this is just how he negotiates.
But that you've just described, that sort of being an agent of chaos, I agree with you. It plays out incredibly well internationally if you want to win wars, but it doesn't play out very well with the American people.
Yeah, and this is the challenge. You know, we're living in an age of instant messaging, instant gratification, instant clarity, and that simply does not go down well in this in day and age. But you know, the president knows what he's doing. He's got his clear objectives set out, and he's pursuing them, and he will pursue them until he meets, you know, until he gets what he wants.
We saw him walk out of that interview this weekend that he did, was it with ABC? And actually you could see the sense of frustration that he has, that the messaging of this is not landing.
Yeah, it's just not getting through for you know, people with you know, you work in the media, Bev, you will be aware that people take away what they want. They'll believe what they want, and you know, the reality is that there is now a clear plan, a peace plan on the table, and you know, working through the Pakistanis and other US allies, you know, there's a real possibility Trump will deliver this. And the way he's done this is that he's segmented the entire conflict up into different parts. So the first initial objective is to get the Iranians at the table, open the Strait of Hormuz. The nuclear objectives and the uranium, etc., will be negotiated further down the line. I think they've got quite a clear plan set out.
Okay. Thank you, Azim Ibrahim, friend of the channel. Right, still to come this evening on The Late Show Live.
Death to the man who shot me. It is a shame we encountered each other that day in those circumstances.
That, believe it or not, is an AI image of a man who died and was brought back to life for his trial in America. I'm not joking. The UK is not quite there yet, but we are about to introduce more AI with virtual legal assistants in our courtrooms. What are going to be the jobs of the future? Also breaking tonight. We don't have anything. Go. This is The Late Show Live, only on GBNews. Quick break.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me. What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans? Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account. You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country. There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor. Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show Live. I am going to get to your messages this evening. We have a very busy show as usual, but I am reading them and I will read them out. First though, David Lammy will announce later today that virtual legal assistants powered by artificial intelligence are set to be deployed in courts across the country. Apparently this is to help clear up the backlog of cases. Now, ministers say the new technology will speed up the processing. There are 80,000 cases waiting to be dealt with by the Crown Courts in England and Wales alone. But some have raised concerns about relying on artificial intelligence, pointing to mistakes such as the banning of Maccabi Tel Aviv fans from an Aston Villa football match last November because the decision, police said, was based on faulty AI evidence. With me now is Deborah Bloom, New York-based attorney. Deborah, thank you so much for joining us. Now, we've been playing a clip of a victim of a road traffic accident whose sister actually brought him back to life, would you believe it, virtually for the courtroom to give his own evidence. Now, we aren't there yet in the UK, but it might only be a matter of time. What do you make of this story that the UK is going to be using AI now? What kind of job is that going to take, and what risks, Deborah, might it have?
Well, you know, based on what I've read about this, I do believe that AI should have its place in the legal system, but this specific rollout seems way too expansive. And the Crown Court, as you know, handles the most serious criminal offenses. And I don't think that you should pilot this when people's lives are on the line, right? They can have life-altering sentences. So I think some of its uses, such as case management and scheduling, are really smart uses. And court transcription, there's so many times where I've read transcripts and I know that what was said in court was different than what the court reporter transcribed. So that could be a really good use. It's just, I feel like the proposal is going too far.
So just, we've all seen those pictures, even on dramas, Deborah, of the court transcriber sitting there tapping away. So are we now to believe that that job is gone? That job is just going to die? Those people are not going to have that profession overnight. Am I right?
You know, some of them are wonderful, but others, we're all human, and some of them do make a lot of mistakes. I do think that that could be one of the first jobs to be out the window, that AI could replace that position. And, you know, my question is, who's going to be... Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, so what else what other roles are there? Because you've just described a few things which, to people who aren't involved in the legal profession, we may not know exactly what those jobs are or how many people might be doing them. Tell us how AI would actually do those jobs.
So in each and every courtroom for a major case, for other cases, they do record it and then you could send out, or at least in America, that's how they do it. But court reporters, there are many of them. It's many courtrooms throughout your country, my country, where you have court reporters. And I do think that's one place where AI, and including this program, will replace human beings. Then with case management, the AI tool can figure out which cases have gone on for too long, don't meet the standards and goals that your country has set. You know, that a case has to go from the arraignment of the criminal defendant to an outcome of the case. So that's another place that I think is a good use of AI. But then I think that beyond that, it seems like we're taking it too far. And is a human being going to be overseeing this process, or is it just given to AI? We know that Anthropic, who it does Claude, recently published a formal warning calling for a coordinated global pause on AI development because AI systems are now approaching the ability to rewrite themselves. So that's really scary when you're dealing with the legal system.
Yeah, it's all scary, Deborah. Thank you so much. Deborah Bloom there, New York-based attorney. Thanks, Deborah. Let me ask my panel about this. Matthew, I'm really genuinely, like every day, I'm currently shocked at the pace of change. It has gone on steroids, it feels like, in 2026. Even like in the last 2 weeks, we're just having all of this new technology thrown our way. Our government we've got a few stories tonight about the way that they're going to be using it in schools and stuff. Do you have concerns about this?
You know, Deborah made some excellent points, and I was actually pleasantly surprised as someone in the legal profession was open to expanding AI into her profession. I think that it is natural for someone to want to close the door behind them once they're certified, or in this instance, they have a law degree and sit for the bar. But I do think that we should judiciously and cautiously embrace AI. It is going to be it is the future, and it is now. You know, we no longer have women running punch cards from one computer to the next in an IBM office. And it is the situation, and I want to be sensitive to this. I'm not telling your viewers to learn to code, which was something that happened in the United States a couple of years ago. I'm saying we should embrace it, and those employees who do embrace it and learn to use it will be marketable from now into the future.
Jobs of the future, Laurie? There aren't any.
No, I'm from South Florida, and a couple industries that are really starting to take a hit, like within weeks I've seen this change, are realtors, which is a huge economy and industry agents down in, well, anywhere really, but especially down where I'm from. Having AI replace virtual tours, having basically replaced the person who goes and unlocks the house and shows it. You don't need a human being to do that anymore, right? People don't want the fuss. They want it also, they don't have to travel there to see the home. They want every single thing right there, the dimensions. Oh, picture yourself with your own furniture. I mean, you can do the craziest things. That's just one industry that I'm thinking about. The other is like paralegal work. I think that could absolutely start to be outsourced out. You're seeing like Meta just laid off hundreds of people, and they were actually studying. Did you read about this? They were actually studying them this whole time to be able to replace them. Yeah. So it's happening, folks.
It's happening, folks. It's genuinely happening, folks. And I don't know, I think we are hurtling towards this at such an alarming rate, and I'm genuinely not sure what the jobs of the future are going to be at the moment. Do you? Let me know. gbnews.com/your say. Right, let's moving on now very quickly. Still to come this evening on The Late Show Live.
These weight loss jabs play a role as part of the overall set of interventions that you can make to help people lose weight and to where they can work, get back into work, which is good for them and good for the economy.
That's our health secretary there talking about how great weight loss jabs are, and many people would agree with him. But there are now weight loss pills. Would you feel more comfortable taking that even if you didn't want a jab? And have we completely given up on the idea of personal responsibility? This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis. In the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there.
With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again.
To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
because
the failure is
you're
the failure
deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to The Late Show, live with Bev Turner. Now, another story that's just dropped in the last few moments. Daily weight loss pills could now offer an alternative to injections after trial results showed that obese patients lost more than 10% of their body weight in just 6 months. The experimental drug is called elecoglipron. Well, they never have a simple name, do they, drugs? Pharmaceutical companies love to make them sound complicated. And it works in a similar way to the fat loss jabs, but it's taken as a tablet and doesn't require fasting before use. Now, researchers say it also improved blood sugar levels in patients with type 2 diabetes. Larger weight loss is seen at higher doses. Now, AstraZeneca, who make the drug, say the results are encouraging as the drug pushes into larger phase 3 trials. Well, I'm glad to hear that AstraZeneca are doing proper trials, at the very least. That makes a change. Matthew Hurt, how do you feel about weight loss jabs and now pills?
Well, what we've seen with Ozempic is a lack of, there's a bone density issue that's coming forward. I do think that, health and medicine, all of these are important. I think we should embrace human progress, but I do think that weight loss is mostly a responsibility issue, and you should, go out for a run.
It's not that simple, though, is it?
It is not as simple, and people want these things very easily. And I think there's some side effects that we are yet to see, and we will see in the coming years.
100%. Laurie, you're a fitness fanatic. You know a lot about this stuff. Do you also have sympathy, though, for people who have struggled with their weight for years and years and years and can't shift the weight, and these medical products are working?
Sure, I can't not plug my health and wellness book, Go From Stress to Strong, Health and Fitness Advice from High Achievers. Please go buy it, Barnes & Noble.
Do you have to be a high achiever to buy it?
No, but you'll love the stories. Stories from the campaign trail. I interview a bunch of people, you'll love it. But my point is that there are a lot of people, and I interviewed some. One is a chef here in DC who lost like over 120 pounds, who had to have lap band surgery. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
a long time ago?
bariatric surgery, yeah.
Imagine going up and down these restaurants carrying huge slabs of meat and huge boxes, like her knees were blown out, and instead of having surgery, she lost the weight.
Yeah.
And her whole entire life changed. There are things out there for people that have been struggling for decades with their weight. People have a whole host and range of medical issues. Some have, thyroid, and I just wanted to I just want to bring up a precaution about these drugs. So I'm glad that they're moving towards pills and continuing to research the efficacy of this, because just here in the United States, Bev, over the weekend, headlines came out about potential risk to cancer to these GLP-1 drugs, specifically thyroid, C-cell tumors, things like that. So people need to be very mindful of what they're putting in their bodies, but if it can help them lose weight and get on a healthier path, I'm all for it.
I do wonder, though, whether it comes to Jonathan Liss and Rob Midgley, who are in London. I do wonder if you've struggled with your weight for years and years and years, and somebody offers you one of these, whether it's the injection or the pill, you're likely to go, la, 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 don't want to hear about the side effects, just want to be thin, just want to be thin. And that's not informed consent, Rob Midgley, is it?
No, absolutely not. And I think in a UK perspective, we have to think about the cost to the NHS as well. I'm a bit of a fitness fanatic, so I don't really believe in taking pills or injections or anything like that because of the side effects and the cost to it. I think the money should go into a bigger campaign about raising awareness about using the gym, using more natural ways to lose weight, using a Stairmaster for a week if you're overweight, and I think that does wonders to health and bring down that weight overall. I think it's much healthier for you than taking pills or injecting yourself, and also just having a good diet. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I can't believe how readily we've accepted this. Like, do you remember, Jonathan, if you think about it, like going back years, people would say, imagine if there was a pill that would just make you lose weight. It was like the stuff of fantasy, wasn't it? Imagine if there was something that would just make you lose. And it was the holy grail. We never thought it would be invented. It was invented, and almost overnight, even the likes of me, who's advocated for diet and exercise for my entire life, I'm now looking at people who've lost a ton of weight and gone, yeah, it's probably quite good for you. I can totally see why you've done it. But what are we doing as human beings, Jonathan? It's not good for us.
Well, I guess people have been using diet pills for a long time. I guess it just didn't work back in the 90s and 2000s and so on.
Remember that?
I mean, yeah. And look, I suppose that as people, we don't like the idea of something for nothing because it feels unjust somehow. It goes against the natural order of things. In our society, in the way that we grow up, we always think that there's a yin and a yang. If you get drunk, you have a hangover the next day because God doesn't want to give us any good things, and so we have to pay. So this is almost like a Christian idea. You have to pay for things. We can't get our head around the idea that maybe there is something magic where there are no side effects and only good things can come. And if there is something called exercise, that you have to work for it. There has to be an element of suffering. It's like there is a real Christian element to this, that you have to suffer for good things, and if you have something good, you might have to suffer afterwards.
I know what you mean, but I'm not sure it's Christian. I just wonder whether it's basic human psychology. You are not going to feel as good about yourself if you just take a pill and lose all that weight as you would, to Rob's point, if you trained and you dieted and you looked in the mirror and every day you felt it and you felt it.
Yeah, but
that's a proper personal journey,
I agree with you,
that you benefit from.
I agree with you completely, but at the same time, it still taps into this idea that we have this idea of fairness, and that it's not fair that I should be, sort of watching everything that I eat and going to the gym, and that guy over there is just taking a pill and getting the same or better effects. That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's what it really motivates. If there was a pill, science has no limits. If there was a pill that was invented, people would take it.
We've got to move on. We've come to... Thanks, Jonathan. Right, more to come in the next hour, including this.
We must also be serious about protecting our children from those who look to abuse it.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome along to your latest weather update from the Met Office.
here on GB News. A lot of showers around today, some big beefy ones as well, hail, thunder, lightning, all possible with some sunny spells in between. We're starting with a zone of cloud and showery rain across central and eastern England. That'll work out into the North Sea, then sunshine and then lots of showers already following into Northern Ireland and Scotland. As I mentioned, some pretty intense downpours likely. One of those days where 1 minute you've got a biblical downpour, 15 minutes later the sun is out. And certainly in the south in the afternoon, the emphasis will be a bit more on sunshine and not as many showers, but it's not going to be a warm day, feeling cooler in the breeze and when the downpours come along, of which there'll still be plenty of them around as we go through the evening. Still a few thunderstorms likely to rumble on also, but parts of the south, as I say, seeing some good spells of sunshine to end the day. Plenty of showers for North Wales, Northern Ireland coming and going throughout the day, as they will across much of Northern England and Scotland. Don't be surprised if you get caught out by a hail shower coming in. The wind's a little lighter over northern Scotland, so the showers are a little more slow-moving perhaps here. As we go through the evening time, the showers will continue to fade in many central and eastern parts, so some lengthy dry and clear spells here, but we'll always keep some showers feeding in on a fairly brisk westerly wind. So the showers keeping going for much of Wales, northwest England, western Scotland and Northern Ireland. With some clearer skies, we could well dip down into the mid-single figures in rural spots. Most towns and cities start Wednesday about 7 to 9 Celsius. Another day of showers to come tomorrow as well. Again, like today, there'll be some spells of sunshine, certainly to start with over eastern Scotland, but also like today, where the showers do occur, yes, they'll be moving through, but they could turn into thundery downpours with hail and lightning possible too. Maybe turning a bit drier in Wales and southwest England for the afternoon. Still quite blustery and still on the cool side.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
From cold mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen,
GB News Breakfast is there.
With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There, you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I think GB News is completely unique in the way that we interact with our viewers.
Our audience aren't afraid to have their say. They want their voices heard now, and they've got a channel where that can happen.
I find more and more as I'm wandering around, people come up to me and they say, "We saw you on television." I say, "Oh yes, on what?" "On GB News."
Hello, are you the famous Sue? The whole crew hid me here now. We came to celebrate.
It's our job to be the eyes and ears of the viewers.
They are part of the GB News family, and I'm pleased to say it's a very large family.
And if people go to the time and trouble of listening and watching, then we've got to do a good job for them.
Well, I'm here right in the epicentre of the protest.
Here we go again.
You just tuned in. Where have you been?
It is raucous here tonight.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
Very good evening, good morning, live from Washington, D.C. This is Bev Turner on GB News with the stories shaping Great Britain and the United States of America tonight.
We must also be serious about protecting our children from those who look to abuse it.
Oh, what fresh hell is this? So Keir Starmer has warned tech companies they've got 3 months to stop children from taking, sharing or viewing explicit images on smartphones. I'll tell you why that is just absolute nonsense. Also, in the last few moments, government statistics are saying that your children got to go to school. Apparently they're 55% more likely to miss school on their birthday, but 55% more likely than what? It doesn't make any sense. What is going on with that? Also tonight,
you shouldn't be able to have billions, right? I think there should be a limit to how much you can have, because there's enough to go around to everyone. So
be a bit awkward over breakfast with his missus, the Kardashian, who is a billionaire. F1 driver Lewis Hamilton there with an estimated fortune with as much as £500 million himself. So what is he talking about? What messaging is he trying to get across? Meanwhile, tonight,
building something in front of the White House that's quite attractive to a lot of people. It's going to have the big UFC fight on June 14th, and I'm looking at it and maybe we'll never ever take it down.
I have to say, I think this is one of the strangest stories of the year, but that might just be me. That was President Trump laying out plans for an Ultimate Fighting Club showdown at the White House. But is it Ultimate Fighting Club? Have I got that right? Championship? UFC, I don't know what it stands for. Anyway, it's going to happen at the White House. But now a watchdog group has stepped into the octagon with a legal challenge. Of course they had. Could it be a knockout blow to Trump's Freedom 250 fight night? Also,
if you have done your homework, LLM, then you would know that my favourite singer is Beyonce.
oh dear, you won't believe what the Chancellor has compared Beyonce to. Honestly, it beggars belief. I'll tell you all about that in a moment. I am a very exasperated Bev Turner, and this is The Late Show Live. Delighted to say, sharing in my exasperation this evening, Republican strategist Matthew Hurt is with me, former Obama policy advisor Laurie Watkins, and in London, political commentator Jonathan Liss, and head of communications for Friends of British Overseas Territories, hey. Rob Midgley, is with us this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening, gentlemen and ladies. You know, I've been back in London for a couple of weeks. Girls had exams. I dropped into a few GB News shows over in London, and honestly, I've come back tonight and I do feel like, normally, Laurie, I feel like the world's gone mad, but it feels particularly acute tonight of some of the craziness that's happening around the world. Do you share my frustrations?
Yes, and my head has been down all day. I've been writing, so I actually haven't paid attention to a lot of the news today. I meant to come in and hear some of this. I'm like, what?
Yeah, nice to know you're prepared for the show, though, Laurie.
Of course I'm prepared for the show. But I mean, all the other things, you know, the headlines that you hear about all day. But you all have very interesting things going on in the UK all the time. data, tracking people, Big Brother.
It's all your lot. It's all the crazy lefties that want that to happen, though, Laurie. It's all your fault.
No, you won't catch me agreeing to that.
Right, moving on to one of these crazy news stories this evening. The government want your children in the UK to go to school, and in order to do so, they're giving schools a personalised tool to spot patterns of absence. So, here's the thing. Teachers know which children are regularly off school. This is patronising. I've got an idea. How about you just let teachers do their jobs, give them real powers to straighten out the naughty kids, give them firm boundaries, and give them some extra help for the kids who need a little bit more attention. The government, though, is giving teachers a communications guide to help strengthen engagement with families. I've got an idea. You could just do this. Hello, Mrs. Smith. Your Connor, he's been off all week. Can you get out of your pyjama onesie, please? Get him into school, or you're going to lose your benefits. I might just be stereotyping there, but that sort of approach might work to get these kids back to school. The government are also recommending a queue jump pass at lunchtime on your birthday. Yeah, and my personal favourite, an under the weather form for a child who might be struggling at school. An under the weather form. Are you ill? Yes, then don't come to school. Are you well? Yes, then come to school and just get on with the day, because we are fast tracking the next generation to be weak, attention-seeking wets. And of course, this is a way for the government to gather data on you and your kids. Don't think it's anything other than that. Now, these figures that they're releasing show, they say 55% of children are 55% more likely to miss school on their birthday. But what does that even mean? Matthew.
Well, the number is insignificant. It's from 5% to 7.5% is the
brilliant. I'm so glad you know that.
Dig into the study, and what's really fascinating to me is what we saw in the pandemic is the education system was woefully under-equipped. If you were homeschooled or attended a parochial school, religious school, imagine the opportunity on your birthday to do a special history lesson in a town nearby. So there are many. This one-size-fits-all approach to education doesn't work anyway.
But the fact that they've cooked the books on that figure and that's in their press release just shows you what they're trying to do. They're lying to us, they're manipulating us, and by saying you're 55% more likely to miss your school on your birthday, so we're going to give you a pass so you can go to the front of the line and get your horrible school dinner first. It's ridiculous. Let's talk now to former primary school teacher and founder of Neurodiversity Parent Guide, Carla Orca. Carla, good to see you again. Thank you so much for joining me. I mean, genuinely, if this is what the schools are being advised, what the government are getting into, what are they doing?
It's disappointing, isn't it? I think the most important thing, as I always say, is children need to be at the very centre of their education. Governments should be supporting parents and schools to make sure that's happening.
But what about this idea that your child can have an under the weather letter to go in with, so that they get what? So that all the teachers say, oh, they're having a bad day, they're under the weather, we've got to do what? Don't make them do that coursework. Don't make them read the book if they don't feel like it. What are we doing, Carla? Because I know you're concerned particularly with children that would have extra learning needs, but that might be a different consideration. But aren't we therefore creating a classroom where any parent can be persuaded by a nagging little kid, I'm not feeling very well today, can you send me an under the weather letter, and then I don't have to actually do sport, I don't have to read my book? I can't bear it.
I think, and I truly believe that all parents are the expert on their child, and therefore if a parent feels that their child is too poorly, too ill to go to school, then absolutely that parent should be saying, no, you're not going to school today, you need a day at home, you need to rest, you need to recover, you need not to infect everybody else in your classroom, you need to be at home. However, if they are well enough to go to school, they should be going to school. However, that said, we do need to take into consideration that absolutely everybody is different. And I think parents are the best placed people to make that judgment.
But can't you imagine, Carla, some really weak parents, and I do say the word weak, actually that's probably a bit mean, harassed, stressed out, tired and weak, some parents, and you've got the kid going, I'm just not feeling very well, Mum, I want one of those letters, I want one of those letters, I want one of those letters today because I don't want to have to do sport. And the parent's going to go, all right, I'll give you an under the weather letter, there you go, you can go to school, but they're under the weather. Because you know what, when that kid gets to the workplace, their boss isn't going to care if they're under the weather, they're still going to have to do their job.
Absolutely, and they will have to do their job. I hope that parents would recognise if their child is fit to go to school or not. Under the weather is neither here nor there. However, I do appreciate, and I think it is so important to recognise children's nervous systems and adults' nervous systems. There is often so much going on in the background of a child that's saying they're poorly, but what is really underneath that under the weather, saying they're poorly? We need to get right underneath it and understand why it is they don't want to go to school, so we can put the support in that they need to thrive at school.
But the kids who don't want to go, and I agree with you on that, we've all had the kid who suddenly's got a tummy ache because they didn't want to speak in the school play or whatever it is. But don't you think we're getting to the point now where our default is that if a child complains of any sort of ailment, what we do is we literally use it as a get out of jail free card. It means they don't have to do the school play, they don't have to do the sports event, they don't have to do the recital at school, and all we're creating is a generation of kids who never feel good about themselves because they're never pushed out of their comfort zone.
I can appreciate your question. Yes, but I think each individual child has to be taken on their own merit, absolutely. And parents are the best placed people to recognise what they are seeing and what that behaviour is communicating to them. Parents see one version of a child and a school see a completely different version of that same child. That is very normal. And so excellent communication between parents and teachers coming together fit two pieces of the same jigsaw together to create a bigger picture, so that you can really understand if that child is trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes or if actually there's something else going on that you need to support.
Let me ask you about another story then, Carla, while I've got you. Let's just play this clip of Keir Starmer, who's been talking today. He's given Apple and Google 3 months, he says, to stop children from taking, sharing or viewing explicit images on smartphones, warning that ministers will legislate if tech firms fail to act. Officials have said that Apple is already taking action with age checks for iPhone users, making it the first company to activate safety features by default for under 18s. This is a big, hot mess. Have a listen to what he said earlier.
Must also be serious about protecting our children from those who look to abuse it, from the online predators who target our children, and from the sexual abuse that they enable.
I just don't believe him. This isn't what it's about at all. You can already, these tech companies can already do this. As parents, you can already do this. This is just about surveillance via the back door, isn't it?
The Raise the Age campaign is a really significant campaign in supporting our children to be safe online. And I think anything that we can do or that the government can put in place to ensure our children's safety online has to be encouraged and supported.
I don't agree. I've just spent the 2 weeks at home and I've spent a lot of that arguing with my teenage girls about phone use. I genuinely think phones are destroying families. I genuinely mean that. I don't say that it's lightly. All around the world, because the only thing that most parents actually argue with their kids about now is their phone use. But it's not really about the sexting element, I think that's a very small part of this actually. For most children, that isn't the issue. For most children, it's about addictive behaviours, it's about attention span atrophying, it's about not having communication with family members, it's about the conflict it causes in family situations. What is it about this issue? Why is he hooking onto this issue? For me, this is just a way, because we'll all have to verify who we are now online, because you can't say you're under 18 unless everyone has to prove that they're over 18.
Absolutely. I think children are navigating increasingly adult online spaces, and I would absolutely agree, as well as the element of sexualization, photographs, etc. There's a much bigger picture at stake, isn't there? There is lack of communication with families, there's isolation, there's problems that would often stay in the background in the school playground, and now following children home on social media and peer pressure, and it's incredibly dangerous. I believe that what Keir Starmer was talking about in that clip was one part of the raise the age, and it remains to be seen exactly what he puts in place to support our children and our families to stay safe on social media.
Yeah. Okay, Carla, thank you. Founder of the Neurodiversity Parent Guide, Carla Orca there. Let me talk to my panel about this. Let me bring in London, because I didn't come to you guys last time. Jonathan, this is Keir Starmer trying to protect our children, apparently, from sexting. It's a ludicrous idea. The tech companies can't do this unless we all verify who we are. Yeah. Because you cannot do it unless we're all doing it.
Yeah, I share your concerns about this, Bev. I don't know how it is going to be workable. It's almost trying to police people's thoughts, which I find a kind of a troubling concept in general. You can't stop people from pressing buttons, ultimately. You can't stop people from thinking things. What you can do is educate people about the dangers of doing that. That's not something that we've obviously done well enough. You can limit people's access to technology, although that is also putting the genie back in the bottle after all these years. You cannot really tell children at this point that they can't use smartphones, because inevitably some kids will find workarounds for it. Some kids are a lot more tech savvy than their parents. Smartphones, all social media, and you can't give someone technology and then have it taken away in the same way that we would find we wouldn't accept having our mobile phones taken from us by government diktat. And I don't see, children are human beings. They don't have all the rights that adults have, but they still have some rights. And I just don't think that you can take things away from them or stop them from doing things. You can have penalties for doing things, although I don't always think that's the right attitude approach either. But just a blanket bans on things and sort of threatening to put tech bosses in jail, which is something I was talking about on this programme a couple of days ago. I just don't think these are the right answers for things. And I think sometimes actually we have to face a difficult reality, which is that some problems in life don't have answers that governments can just implement. They are very, very complex problems with multiple origins, multiple kind of roots, and we need to get together to find ways to tackle this as a society. Government doesn't always have the answers.
Jonathan, welcome. Welcome.
Bev,
it's nice to have you here.
I'm not going to agree with you on anything else, I can assure you of that.
And realising that the government is not the solution to all your problems.
I've never said that it was in a million years, Bev. I've never said the government has all the answers. But they have some answers, but I don't think this is one of them.
Well, maybe you're just frightened about the fact the government will be able to see what you have on your phone. And I'm not saying that because I'm poking you specifically. Like, we've established on this panel before that in the UK, you can't watch porn as a man, well, or a woman, but you can't watch porn without verifying you're 18.
Yeah, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. I think adults should be free to do what they like within legal means. Absolutely,
Where I live in Virginia,
absolutely.
It's the same thing. You have to put in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's the same in Virginia.
Yep. So around here, just for all of your viewers that don't know, it's called the DMV. That stands for like the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia, because they're so close. And where I live in the Commonwealth of Virginia, which is literally just over the river, as opposed to DC, where they don't have that law. In Virginia, when you go to a website, a porn website, you have to verify that you are 18 and that you are like a real person. And I think I don't know.
Hang on.
You have to put in some like part of a little bit of your license number, something to verify that you are over 18.
So you can cross the border.
Yeah, so you can come into DC where we are
very
here.
busy car parks and people just parked up maybe.
Or you have a VPN, which is how other people get around it, I hear.
Yeah, it's like the old, it's like those, the old spots that people just are watching porn in
your
there.
car. So do not watch porn in your car. You could absolutely get arrested for that. So I would not advise that.
I mean, we're blushing and being a little flippant about it, but Matthew, you know, this is welcome to the UK, where you literally can't have privacy to look at what you want to look at online for your own personal pleasure, because the government are pushing this through, this authoritarian vision, under the auspices of we're just going to keep your children safe. Rubbish.
Well, Bev, just moments ago, your previous guest said that parents make the best decisions for their children, and then in the second breath, we get an argument why Sir Keir Starmer and the Labour government should run everything out of our phones. I'm skeptical always of government overreach, particularly in the civil liberties space. This is where Jonathan and I have agreed a lot on this program. And it is necessary for parents to make those decisions for their children. I'm a little weirded out by a situation where the government has some access through AI recognition to identify what is and isn't being sent. And as someone who, I was very nervous traveling from Paris to Amsterdam a couple of years ago, sending memes of a religious nature in the thought that that whatever the governing body of internet and cell phone use in Europe would tap me on the shoulder and say, "What are you doing sending these religious memes
on your way to Amsterdam?"
On my way
I've
to
got
Amsterdam.
more questions, Matthew, but I can't lie. But Rob, I mean, yeah, we do descend slightly into giggles at the idea that the government is spying on our nocturnal potential activities, but it is serious because they have to do something nocturnal.
Some people do in the daylight.
No, absolutely, and you
not
know,
in a car park. But we have to. We've got to do something about these kids and their phones, because what I've realised this week, it's not just about what they're looking at sexually online. It's genuinely about the fact that it is destroying families. It's destroying relationships between parents and kids, because it's what everyone's arguing about, Rob.
yeah, I think when a government bans something, it's a government that's generally out of ideas anyway. And we've already got the Online Safety Act that's going on. Why do we need more and more legislation to tell us what to do? That was initially to protect children, but now it seems to be sort of stopping anyone from doing anything, and then children are still finding ways around this. So it's not really solving the issues, and tech companies are finding all these new ways to protect children, but the government doesn't seem to, you know, there's no reason for the government to be enforcing this when the tech companies are already trying to put these issues. Look at Google, look at YouTube, they've already got the children areas, and I think it should be down to the tech companies ultimately to do this, but it shouldn't be down to the government to be telling the rest of us what to do.
Go on, Laurie.
So I would like to just bring this up. Forbes, reputable news publication, just published one of the most revealing stories about AI and the economy. And this goes to what we're talking about. Silicon Valley escorts who can talk about GPUs, crypto, longevity, and AI safety are charging up to $23,000 a day. And they're booked out for months. Not because of sex, because in the AI era, real human attention has become a luxury good. This is what we were talking about, right? This is how pathetic this is. As AI makes companionship infinite, instant, and practically free, something unexpected is happening. Authentic human connection is becoming more valuable than ever. A small group of nerd-first companions in San Francisco have figured this out. They discuss AI models, startups, supply chains, venture capital, and the future of technology. Your clients are AI founders, researchers, and NVIDIA engineers, young, wealthy, chronically online. People who spend their lives building the future but increasingly struggle to find genuine connection in the present. 5 years ago, the top end of the market was around $1,000 an hour. Today, some charge $3,000 to $6,000 an hour. The most interesting part is that they're not paying for sex.
To sit and have a conversation with somebody about AI?
Just the talk about AI is so they're relatable to these people, but the point is companionship, because they are so technology and isolated and focused on this that they don't even know how to interact with human beings.
And genuinely, like, that is what we need to be talking to children about. That is, it's that.
The fear, right, the repercussions, the
conversation. I was in the Netherlands this weekend, coincidentally, possibly not doing what you were doing in Amsterdam. But I was at a Kanye West concert, yay, as he's now called, because I took my children to prove that the government shouldn't tell you what music you can and can't listen to, because obviously he was banned from coming to the UK.
Right.
And I was telling my girls over and over again, you are beautiful, you are funny, but you have to be clever as well. So stop just scrolling through your useless TikToks and your Instagram. They don't have TikTok actually, but stop scrolling. Get clever. Use your brain. That's the problem. We've got a generation of young people who are just going to be more stupid than their previous generation. And that is a new thing.
Not only more stupid, Bev, but more lonely. Yeah. It's what we're talking about, I think, is loneliness as well. And the thing with phones is that it does perversely, because the idea of phones is to bring us together, to bring us close together to people. And it can do that. You can stay in touch with people that you wouldn't have been able to stay in touch with very easily 30 years ago. And you can sort of, you can have long distance friendships and relationships in a way that you couldn't before, or very difficultly. And now you have, it does keep us from people as well. And people have never reported so much loneliness, and I don't know what we do. Really have to put our phones down as well and enjoy each other's company in real life.
And wouldn't it be powerful to see Keir Starmer stand up behind that lectern today and say, this is my phone, put it down. Like, start a campaign to leave your phone behind. But you know what? They'll never do that, because they want us tracked and they want us to be surveilled. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. It's the last thing they want. If they genuinely had our best interests at heart, they would be telling us,
phones away.
Row back on your reliance on your phone. But it's actually the opposite. Everything now we have to do via a phone, everything. And it's very difficult. It's making life depressing. Here's another story that's depressing. Separate data showing that the number of children in school in the UK that don't have English as a first language has absolutely rocketed. Let's give you some numbers. Leicester, that's in the middle of our country, 56% of children, English is not their first language. Slough, just west of London, 51% not their first language. Luton, 50.3%. Manchester, 44%. Birmingham, 40%. One of the lower ones is like Wolverhampton, let's say, 31% of kids don't have English as their first language. Now that means, to my Americans here, I'm sure it's similar here, the average class size in the UK is 30 kids. So even in one of the areas where it's only 30, that's 10 children in every British classroom that don't have English as a first language. Rob, Midgley, let me come to you on this. What are the disadvantages of that for the British-born kids?
I mean, it means they're not integrated, to put it very simply. And I think those figures are absolutely disgraceful, because you look at those figures and, this is England. This is where the English language originated from. And if these kids aren't speaking English, they're not integrating, which has a massive knock-on effect to how communities work, how the country works, literally just how their lives work in integrating their lives. And if there's no one speaking English, then it's no longer England. No. I'm very firm about this. I mean, you're welcome to jump in.
Okay, well, I think we just have to be clear about. Well, let's just be clear about something. What the statistics that you've just read out, Bev, say nothing about whether kids can speak English. This is about bilingual kids. Bilingualism is a gift.
It's not their first language.
Well, it doesn't matter. If kids who speak English, who might speak another language at home or with another language with one parent, for example, are actually statistically more likely to have better chances in life, because their brains are adapted to learning different languages, which is an absolute gift for the brain. Helps to rewire your brain so you understand more about language, language acquisition. But there are no kids. There are kids in this country maybe who don't speak English very well, and that's kids who just literally arrived, who haven't been born here, for example, and who haven't had any exposure to English. Those kids, by the way, will learn English very, very quickly. There are no English kids who are 18 years old who don't speak English to a good level. That's just not true. If you go to school in England, you speak English as the language of instruction. There are no.
Yep. But you've just said these children who, you're right, probably most of them are bilingual. They're not sat in a classroom in Nottingham only speaking Bengali, right?
Of course.
They can speak some English as well.
They speak English fluently, of course.
You've just said that, hang on, you've just said those children will be at an advantage going forward in life, and I don't disagree with you. But what it does mean is that the kids who only speak English are now going to be at a disadvantage, Laurie, not least because teachers are going to have to be teaching at a pace and a speed which accommodates children for whom English may be a struggle. Laurie.
Well, I don't know about your system there, but here in the United States, if there are not budget cuts for public education, there are ESOL classes where English that is not the first language, the English instruction is given in a different way, with an aid, etc. I mean, that's been going on since I was my first day in kindergarten. I know about programs like that. So I would push back to say, Bev, that if there are students that have a little bit more special needs that are in those programs, it would not at all take away from the other kids that are in the classroom. Where you have that issue is class size. So if you have large class sizes like we do here in the United States, where you have like 45, 46 kids in some class with one teacher, yeah, that's a problem and will be problematic, especially if you have a kid with special needs, developmental disability, a language barrier. All of those things come into place, and that is way too much for one teacher to bear.
But we wonder, Matthew, why?
But to say blanketly it'll take away from all the other kids, I think that's a step too far.
I don't, Matthew. I can't imagine if my kids were in a class where a class of 30, where there were 10 kids who will have a worse grasp of English.
Well, Bev, a story that we covered on this program a couple of months ago revealed that a third of students in Edinburgh didn't speak English at all. So that's a significant concern. This story, there's a little bit of difference. What I do think in a classroom of 30, if English proficiency is not the same across the board, and it won't be, then you have a situation where teachers are slowing down the curriculum. They're spending more time with students for whom English is not the first language. That said, you have borders, language, and culture. What we do know in the United States is first-generation Americans do tend to learn English very quickly. And so in a situation like this, what you're looking for is assimilation and English proficiency. I don't know if that's the case in these classrooms in Great Britain, but it would certainly detract from the overall educational quality if proficiency was not the same across the board.
Yeah. Rob, back to you.
I mean, Bev, look at that figure there. That's Oldham, 32%. So if you go into a classroom where, I don't know, say, I can't do the maths here, 30% of that classroom is only speaking English, the rest is, have some other language, they're going to have huge problems.
It's not saying they can't speak English. It's not saying
that. That's a whole education
it's not
system.
Saying that, though. That's not what it says.
It's insane.
They're speaking.
It's insane to go into
it's not saying. It's the statistics. We can only look at what the statistics are telling us. The statistics are telling us that they have not English as a first language. There are many people that you will speak to on a daily basis in fluent English. I guarantee you they won't have English as a first language.
Do you
it tells us nothing.
Do you think that's right,
it tells us nothing. I think it's right. I think it's right that people have different cultures and different heritages. Yes, I think it's right, actually.
But why isn't it 100%? I just don't understand why.
What do you mean by 100%? It's like saying, why England? No, I've got friends. I've got friends. I've got two friends, right? They're both English. One of them speaks to their kids in Bengali. The other one learned Chinese at university and speaks to the kids in Mandarin. Those kids literally don't have English as a first language, so they are English and they speak English like you or I. I think it's great. It's really great for their brains. It's great for their future as well.
That's not what these figures
are.
No,
I'm saying that bilingualism is great and those kids will speak English proficiently.
Yeah, no,
Let's give Rob a chance. Go on, Rob.
If you go into a classroom in Yorkshire, for example, and only, 10 out of, maybe even less, or 30 of those kids are speaking English, there's something very, very wrong there. Like, that's systemic in whole society, that there's something wrong in the education system. How are they learning about English, all these other subjects? How are they going to get through life if they can't even speak English as their first language?
Well, they might.
You can't help, that doesn't matter though.
Hang on. Jonathan, shush. They might be able to speak English. They can speak English. They're sat in a classroom. They can speak English. The point is, it's not their first language, which also suggests that is 56% of children in Leicester are not speaking English at home, which comes to Rob's point about integration, that their first language isn't English. That is a huge number of people in the UK that are not speaking English as a first language. So it means the minority of children in Leicester's classrooms, the minority have English as their first-born language. Just let that sink in.
Bev, there's a bigger problem here as well, because if they're going home and speaking another language or being brought up with a different language, then it says, well, where are they coming from? Where are their parents coming from? Are their parents even speaking English? You know, they may have migrated, but they're not speaking English. They haven't tried to integrate. That's a huge problem for England and the United Kingdom.
I'm sorry, but integration doesn't mean that you have to speak English with your family at all times. It means that you go out into the society and you talk to other people from different backgrounds and you participate in that society. There are people, you know, like I grew up with people who were as English as me, and they might speak Italian or one of the other European, because, you know, they might have come from, their parents might have come from different parts of the EU, and they spoke Italian or Portuguese at home. They still went out and participated in Britain, spoke English, had English friends, lived normal English lives. It doesn't matter that they had Italian as a first language and they spoke it at home. They were still integrated. They just weren't speaking it at home.
I think it's an absolutely fascinating amount of statistics, this, because it tells us so much that we've been struggling to pin down, which is what the future of the UK looks like. And right now, the future of the UK looks like the minority of children in schools will be those who speak English as a first language. That is the direction of travel. To the degree to which we are all comfortable with that, that's a different debate. But I personally am not remotely comfortable with that. Right, still to come this evening on The Late Show Live.
You shouldn't be able to have billions, right? I think there should be a limit to how much you can have, because there's enough to go around to everyone. So,
who says that money doesn't buy you fashion and style? Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton there. He's got an estimated fortune as much as £500 million himself. His missus, Kim Kardashian, is worth nearly £2 billion. So what does he mean when he says that you shouldn't be allowed to have that much money? Also tonight.
If you have done your homework, LLM, then you would know that my favourite singer is Beyonce.
Chancellor Rachel Reeves there comparing something to Beyonce. I will tell you what that is in just a moment. This is The Late Show Live, only on GB News.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome along to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A lot of showers around today, some big beefy ones as well, hail, thunder, lightning, all possible with some sunny spells in between. We're starting with a zone of cloud and showery rain across central and eastern England. That'll work out into the North Sea, then sunshine and then lots of showers. Already following into Northern Ireland and Scotland. As I mentioned, some pretty intense downpours likely. One of those days where 1 minute you've got a biblical downpour, 15 minutes later the sun is out. And certainly in the south in the afternoon, the emphasis will be a bit more on sunshine and not as many showers, but it's not going to be a warm day, feeling cooler in the breeze and when the downpours come along, of which there'll still be plenty of them around as we go through the evening. Still a few thunderstorms likely to rumble on also, but parts of the south, as I say, seeing some good spells of sunshine to end the day. Plenty of showers for North Wales, Northern Ireland coming and going throughout the day, as they will across much of Northern England and Scotland. Don't be surprised if you get caught out by a hail shower coming in. The wind's a little lighter over northern Scotland, so the showers are a little more slow moving perhaps here. As we go through the evening time, the showers will continue to fade in many central and eastern parts, so some lengthy dry and clear spells here, but we'll always keep some showers feeding in on a fairly brisk westerly wind. So the showers keeping going for much of Wales, northwest England, western Scotland and Northern Ireland. With some clearer skies, we could well dip down into the mid single figures in rural spots. Most towns and cities start Wednesday about 7 to 9 Celsius. Another day of showers to come tomorrow as well. Again, like today, there'll be some spells of sunshine, certainly to start with over eastern Scotland, but also like today, where the showers do occur, Yes, they'll be moving through, but they could turn into thundery downpours with hail and lightning possible too. Maybe turning a bit drier in Wales and southwest England for the afternoon. Still quite blustery and still on the cool side.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome back. Now, you might have seen we've been showing you little pictures of New York. You're going, what's that? So it's the NBA Finals tonight, the basketball. President Trump is there. We're hoping to show you some live pictures maybe of him up courtside. Surprised he's gone to basketball. Here we go. This is outside Madison Square Gardens. It's understood that President Trump is inside there. He's watching it in one of the private boxes. I think it's MSG. It's a private suite inside Madison Square Gardens. Tickets for the game top more than $6,000 if you were going to be there tonight. I think it started about 8 or 9 minutes ago, didn't it? I think. And it's what? New York Knicks. Who are they playing?
New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs, and this is game 3. And the Knicks are up 2-0, so they have to win 4 out of the series, and all they need is 2 more, and they're at home for the next 2 games, so they could take it right in New York.
Oh, wow, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You a basketball fan, Matt? I'm guessing by your silence it's a
from
no.
the 90s, but if they win tonight, clearly this is a win for President Trump, and we're not tired of winning yet. Take that, Lori.
Well, we will keep you posted if we have any dramatic news from the NBA games. That was a little bit of a flashback. It's my first job in telly, you know, Matt.
I did. I saw on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah. Probably need to update that somewhat. Does it mention Late Show Live? I used to host the NBA many years ago. It's all a bit of a distant memory now, but yeah, I was very lucky. I was fortunate enough to be at the courtside for these sorts of games. Didn't really appreciate it at the time. It was completely lost on me. So yeah, we will let you know if we see some live footage of President Trump there or anybody else interesting at the basketball game this evening. Right, moving on. Still sport. Another former job of mine was covering Formula 1. Lewis Hamilton has spoke about money and how much you should or shouldn't have. His podcast clip has surfaced with him saying that billionaires shouldn't exist and that people are too hung up on material things. Here he is talking to Jay Shetty in his podcast.
There is such a disparity between wealthy and the poor. And, you know, you still, when you drive around LA, there's still so many people living on the streets. You shouldn't be able to have billions, right? I think there should be a limit to how much you can have because there's enough to go around to everyone. So somehow creating a law that creates more equality, and equal access to for everyone. You know, I don't know how that you would implement that law.
Now, he's obviously received massive criticism for that because he is reportedly worth about $500 million. He's going out with, apparently, Kim Kardashian, whose net worth is estimated to be around $2 billion. So what is he trying? I feel a bit sorry. At least I don't feel that sorry for him, Matthew, but I think he's got a point. He's pointing out, look, he's a normal boy. He's not from a rich family. He's from a normal family. He did karting and he got through to Formula 1, etc., etc. I think he's making a decent point, but I don't think he's really thought it through.
There are layers of ignorance here. Now, he said a lot of other things that really made a lot of sense in this podcast conversation. We should embrace experiences rather than accumulating things, and I really am on the same page with that.
Was that a Gucci hat he was wearing?
Yeah, but the throwaway line that he said was, oh, there's still homelessness. Well, California and the far left has attempted to solve homelessness by funneling tens of millions of dollars. It is a number of problems with that issue. Many homeless people are actually dealing with drug addiction and mental illness and not particularly concerned about being unhoused. There is nothing in the United States that prevents somebody who is a billionaire like Kim Kardashian or the Kardashians from checking the little box on their tax form to say, I'd like to pay more to the government so we can have less money and you can solve more problems. There's nothing that prevents them from doing it, and so perhaps Louis there could do that on his tax.
Hang on, is that really a box on your tax form? You can offer to pay more tax?
You can say, I would like to pay more taxes, and of course the people who want to redistribute wealth never check that box, and they say, oh, other people should pay more taxes, and get really uncomfortable when they're asked to pay more taxes.
Laurie, do you tick that box to say you'd like to pay more tax?
I cannot wait till I get to that place, Bev. I'm manifesting it right now as we speak. I love Jay Shetty and his podcast On Purpose. I get reader of his books, have them on my shelf, signed copies and all. Love him. And I get the point of the podcast and why he had him on. And I can understand to some extent what he was trying to say. But when you are the spokesperson, I was either on Emirates or Etihad Airlines recently, and when you are the spokesperson for that in like luxury, you know, business class, and your face is all over, it is absolutely tone deaf. I get what he was trying to say, that I think, I didn't watch the whole interview, which is to say that nobody needs that much money. The fact that our systems are now designed to where people are worth billions and billions of dollars, and they have more wealth than they will ever even physically be able to spend in their lifetime. When you see Melinda French Gates, or you see Mackenzie Bezos, who you know, are giving away $200 million in 1 year from the money that they built with their partners, and this is how much they're giving away annually to charitable organizations through 3 philanthropic means. That's just 1 year, $200 and some million. They're giving it away and choosing to do good. Having this much money to buy yachts and bigger homes and, you know, jets and all of that, it's not worth it. I choose to be rich in my life with the people in my life, friends, colleagues, the work I do, etc. Not
Jonathan. That's
dollars.
An interesting point. Do you think we should have a little tick box on our you know, HMRC on our tax return?
No, absolutely not. Because I'll tell you why. Because it comes back to what I was saying before about fairness. If I feel like I'm doing something, I want to be doing it knowing that other people are doing it too. And the tax system works based on the fact that we all have to do this thing. There's a personal income amount for everyone, except if you earn over, I think it's £100,000. There's the tax rates are applied to everyone. And what annoys people about the tax system is that it's different kinds of income are taxed differently depending on whether you earn your living or whether you get your living from dividends, for example. That's why a lot of people think it's entirely sensible to make income tax the same as capital gains tax, for example, and dividends tax. So that's the kind of thing that I think that people feel hard done by. People feel hard done by when they see that billionaires don't pay. Some billionaires seem to pay almost no tax in this country. Corporations get away with paying almost no tax in this country, and they see their hard-earned money going to HMRC every month. That's what people feel hard done by. If there was a button say you can pay more tax if you want to, well, a lot of people say, well, no, I'm not going to do that. I believe in paying more tax if I'm very wealthy, and I actually believe in paying less tax if you earn less money. I think that, you know, one thing that I will agree more with reform about, for example, is the need to increase the personal allowance so that actually the lowest paid can be taken more out of income tax altogether and put the burden on the highest paid.
Agree more.
So that's what I think is the fairness.
Jonathan, are you all right? Like, are you
Bev,
all right?
I've always
You
said these
very
opinions to you, Bev. Always said these opinions to you. You just haven't been listening.
No. Oh, come on, you can accuse me of several things. Rob, but what's Lewis Hamilton banging on about then when he says, because you can see that, I think he believes that when he said people shouldn't have billions, they shouldn't be allowed to have billions is the word he used. I'm thinking, I don't think you mean allowed, because you're talking about some pretty dark stuff there if the government is not allowing you to have your billions.
I mean, this is very typical sort of, you know, California sort of celebrity hypocrisy here. They like to preach to poor people, oh, we want to give you more money but never do. You know, I think there's systemic issue. I don't know California very well, but I know there's systemic issues there. I know the celebrity culture there is completely divided from the poorer cultures. You know, I think if he wants to give money, he should do it off camera. I think he should give to charities that make a real difference. And, you know, he shouldn't be going on podcasts and making a big deal out of it. I think a lot of people do this stuff for their own publicity, and it's really quite selfish of them. And it don't actually make any impact to, I don't know, solving a drug problem in California, for example. Well, he doesn't seem to be interested in that.
He's allowed to say the government should tax the wealthy more. I mean, I think rich people can't get it right, can they? Because if they say that they should pay less tax, they're accused of being greedy. If they're saying they should pay more tax, they're accused of being hypocrites. So people are saying, yes, I have more money at the moment because the government's not taxing it. If the government did tax it, I would pay more tax.
It's interesting, though, isn't it, from Lewis Hamilton, because probably he hangs around with more billionaires than probably almost anybody else on this planet. It's like he hangs around with people who own Formula One teams and who own massive brands like Red Bull and Mercedes, and as I said, made the joke about the Gucci, and the Kardashians, like literally, which is the Kardashian who became the first female billionaire? Was it Kylie?
Yes, for her makeup.
No idea.
Was it Kylie? Okay, so yeah, I love the fact. I was asking the wrong crowd there, wasn't I? I'm quite pleased to know that. I thought Jonathan Liss would have known that straight off the bat. I think it was Kylie Jenner, who I think made the billion off her makeup line. Like, what? Tone deaf. I think tone deaf is the phrase, really, isn't it, Laurie? Like you said, how can he not know how strange it sounds to hear him saying that? Right, moving on. Rachel Reeves. Kylie Jenner, they're telling me in my ear. It took someone a while to even Google that. Right, Rachel Reeves has... Oh, hang on, I've got to correct this. Apparently, Kylie Jenner exaggerated the figure about her makeup line. It's actually Kim Kardashian who was the first billionaire. Wow. His girlfriend, Lewis Hamilton's apparently his girlfriend, if that's a real relationship. Anyway, moving on. Rachel Reeves, Chancellor of the Exchequer, has been asked what song would best sum up her time as Chancellor, and this was her reply.
Are you asking AI about Beyonce? It must be a Beyonce song.
If the UK economy was a song, what would it be right now?
If you have done your homework, LLM, then you would know that my favourite singer is Beyonce, and I would pick Upgrade You. The UK economy growth has been upgraded, most recently by the IMF, but I would like a few more upgrades.
Hang on. Did she say Beyonce's song Crazy? I'm sorry, that's the first time I've seen that.
Upgrade You, I thought she said.
But
yeah,
then she said, but is there a song called? I thought we were going to play the song then. Sorry about that. It's probably
Crazy in Love.
Did she mean Crazy in Love? I go, sorry, let's just play it again because the audio wasn't great on that. Here we go. Pay attention, everybody. Here we go. Rachel Reeves, what's she telling us?
Are you asking AI about Beyonce? It must be a Beyonce song.
If the UK economy was a song, what would it be right now?
If you have done your homework, LLM, then you would know that my favourite singer is Beyonce, and I would pick Upgrade You. The UK economy growth has been upgraded, most recently by the IMF, but I would like a few more upgrades.
Oh, God. Okay, right. I understand it now. So she said the song would be Upgrade You because the economy has had so many upgrades.
I don't have my phone, so I can't do a fact check. Is it Upgrade You by Destiny's Child, or is that by Beyonce?
Well, I didn't think Beyonce had a song called Upgrade You.
Does someone have a phone?
What I do know is this is absolutely ridiculous for her to make this argument when that is not the case on the British economy. So it is a distraction to talk about an entertainer. And now, does it make her approachable and relatable as a government figure? Sure, but this is it's a weird. It's just strange.
I tell you what, I would have really liked the reporter presenter to do then. What does LLM mean, by the way? She said if you've done your homework, LLM.
Is that like a chat?
It could be the Google AI.
IRL, like in real life?
No. She was saying LLM. Like
is that the chat? Is that the chat bot?
I don't know.
I've never sounded more old than I do right now.
It is by Beyonce. It's just so old that I thought it might have been Destiny's Child. 2006 is Upgrade You. That was when the song was released.
What I would have liked the reporter or the presenter or the chatbot or whoever she was talking to say is to get her to sing that song to see if she actually knew what the song is, because it sounds like a kind of line that somebody might have just fed her. Can you sing it?
I know some of the words. I know the beat and everything. Yeah.
I don't know that song at all. Is it worth asking my London panel what they feel about Rachel Reeves' performance on a podcast about her favourite song and the economy being upgraded?
Well, I think she needs more than a song to upgrade the economy.
Have a song?
Moving on up.
Go on, say.
By Curtis Mayfield.
Moving on up.
Can you sing it?
Yeah, I can. If I will is a different question.
What song would you compare the British economy to? I wish I had more time to think about this one. We've thrown this in at the last minute. I should have come up with all.
Everybody wants to rule the world.
That's a great song.
Are you talking about the dictator that is our Prime Minister? That's exactly. Yeah, you're right. That was
rich coming from where you are, Beth.
Quite good.
Tears for Fears, right?
I'll let you have that one, Jonathan. Can you think of a song that might describe the British economy, Matthew?
Not the economy, but a call to prayer. So I'll let you have it back, Bev.
I would say, there may be trouble ahead. I'm sure we can all sing that. There may be trouble ahead. There may be in the next hour, including this.
I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome along to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A lot of showers around today, some big beefy ones as well. Hail, thunder, lightning, all possible with some sunny spells in between. We're starting with a zone of cloud and showery rain across central and eastern England. That'll work out into the North Sea, then sunshine and then lots of showers already following into Northern Ireland and Scotland. As I mentioned, some pretty intense downpours likely. One of those days where 1 minute you've got a biblical downpour, 15 minutes later the sun is out. And certainly in the south in the afternoon, the emphasis will be a bit more on sunshine and not as many showers, but it's not going to be a warm day, feeling cooler in the breeze and when the downpours come along, of which there'll still be plenty of them around as we go through the evening. Still a few thunderstorms likely to rumble on also, but parts of the south, as I say, seeing some good spells of sunshine to end the day. Plenty of showers for North Wales, Northern Ireland coming and going throughout the day, as they will across much of Northern England and Scotland. Don't be surprised if you get caught out by a hail shower coming in. The wind's a little lighter over northern Scotland, so the showers are a little more slow moving perhaps here. As we go through the evening time, the showers will continue to fade in many central and eastern parts, so some lengthy dry and clear spells here, but we'll always keep some showers feeding in on a fairly brisk westerly wind. So the showers keeping going for much of Wales, northwest England, western Scotland and Northern Ireland. With some clearer skies, we could well dip down into the mid single figures in rural spots. Most towns and cities start Wednesday about 7 to 9 Celsius. Another day of showers to come tomorrow as well. Again, like today, there'll be some spells of sunshine, certainly to start with over eastern Scotland, but also like today, where the showers do occur, yes, they'll be moving through, but they could turn into thundery downpours with hail and lightning possible too. Maybe turning a bit drier in Wales and southwest England for the afternoon. Still quite blustery and still on the cool side.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
I'm going to do now, they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches,
from football to tennis in the car,
in the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there
with the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it?
We're here again
to start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter? So that's a very live question. Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way. You will not want to miss it, trust me.
The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Jordan Taylor.
Welcome back to the Late Show. If you were with us just before the break, we were talking about Rachel Reeves, Chancellor Exchequer, comparing the economy to a song. She picked a Beyonce song. Now, you at home have not disappointed. It's brilliant. John has said if the UK economy was a song, it would be Don McLean's The Grave. A testy on Tyneside has said LLM, you know, we weren't sure what that was. Large language models, database for AI. Rachel Reeves pretending to know that she knows about AI, apparently. Or Common Sense has said
so she
LLM.
Was talking to it, right?
Low-life Muppet in her case, yeah. Low-life Muppet. Stu has said she chose a song for the economy. That should be Fix You by Coldplay. Ba-bum, very good. Reeves' song should be I Hung My Head by Sting, says Alf. I'm convinced that Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer are actually twins, says Ryan. They're the exact same people. It's unbearable. Tammy, this is a beaut. I Predict a Riot. Fantastic. Which is whose song? I Predict a Riot. Anyway, Kaiser Chiefs, and Rob says Lewis Hamilton lives in Monte Carlo where he moved to avoid UK tax when he got to the top ranks of Formula One. His current annual earnings are 60 to 70 million American dollars, with sponsorships taking him up to about $100 million a year. Unbelievable. Jackie says Take Me to the Church. Amazing song. Is an amazing song. That's what Rachel Reeves should be saying, because we should all be just getting down on our knees and praying for the state of the British economy. You're just brilliant. Jamie, living on a prayer. We're halfway there. He says, down, down, deeper and down, status quo, says Sarah. If the entire Labour cabinet started up a rock group, I'm pretty certain they'd call themselves the Thick Pistols. Oh, shit. Says Testy as well. Oh, brilliant. Keep going. Those are fantastic. Right, moving on. Oh, this is a story around which I'm going to pick my words very carefully. You might have seen it online, and I'm so glad it's 2 o'clock in the morning over in the UK, because the meal kit company, HelloFresh, has sparked controversy online with a Pride Month related post on social media, which is basically very sexually suggestive. Now, what? I don't know whether you're familiar with this story, Laurie.
This isn't real.
But what's happened here is that HelloFresh is a food delivery service.
Oh my goodness.
Now, we haven't put the actual advert on there, and I presume that is deliberate from my producers, because what they're suggesting, I'm going to pick my words very... Oh, you have got it. Okay, I think we have got the whole...
Yeah, that's pretty explicit right there.
Okay, official statement, HelloFresh. We know eating isn't always a top priority this month. We respect that. But for those of you who are... prepping... we have an extensive lineup of high-fibre recipes available. Happy Pride.
This is like an advertisement on The Onion, which is a satirical newspaper here in the United States.
That's right. So I saw this online and I thought it must be a joke. If you don't really understand what this is, the code is bottoms up, and it's the idea that perhaps in preparation for Pride Month, you may want to have a high-fibre diet. I'm just going to leave that there. to hang in the air, because I'm not sure that any words that I can use around the concept of colon cleansing that aren't going to get me into trouble. I've said it. Matthew Hulbert joins me now, LGBT plus rights campaigner, and Charles Carroll Bowley, LGBTQ broadcaster. Thank you both for joining me. Matthew.
Good morning.
You are a Liberal Democrat. Good morning. Matthew, you're a Liberal Democrat. You must be appalled by this, surely.
Hi, Bev. Good to see you this morning. I have to say, Bev, you're the only person that I'd stay up this late for, so there you go. Look, I mean, on this, Pride is a celebration. It is also a protest, because I certainly believe that there are rights that we've still not quite yet won, and so it's both things. And I'm afraid I think I think that, well, just hang on one sec, Bev. I think that this demeans pride, and this is why I increasingly don't like corporations that try to kind of take pride and use it to promote their companies, because that is all they're really doing. They want to benefit from what they believe is the pink pound, when I would argue, certainly with some of these corporations, I'm not on about HelloFresh in particular, but with some of these corporations, I would gently suggest that they're more bothered about their bottom line than they are anything else.
I was waiting for the innuendos to come in. Charles, Matthew's beaten us to it there with his innuendo about the bottom line. What do you make of this? Because there's been a huge backlash online. Many people are outraged that this incredibly suggestive, very vivid image they're giving people when they may be chopping up their courgettes. Why does it have anything to do with food?
Okay, well, first of all, it's Carell, and good morning. You know, HelloFresh, first of all, their marketing is brilliant. We're all talking about it, right? No one knew the company before. Now they do. I agree with the other guest about corporations who do things for Pride Month, but then don't stick by us the other 11 months of the year. I'm not saying HelloFresh is one of those. But you have to wonder how much of this is sex-phobic, how much of this is homophobic. It was a joke. It missed the mark. My problem, and I do have a problem with it, I mean, it is a joke, and God bless them, and I'm glad they did it, you know, to get their controversy. But it's not inclusive of the whole community. Obviously, not everyone in the community is a bottoms up. We have lesbians, we have bisexual people, we have trans people, we have queer, which I'm not even sure what that means. I don't know what the letter is there for. But this is not inclusive of everybody in our community. So that, I questioned that immediately. Second of all, if you're, you know, like yourself, it's lost on a lot of people. My mother would not have gotten the joke. She would have been like, what is this talking about? And if you have to explain it, then that's not really, you know, good advertising. So I think it missed the mark. Probably done by some young, you know, person in their marketing department, 20, 25 years old, who thought this would be hysterical. It got controversy. I'm just not sure that in terms of Pride Month. Now, remember, Pride was started as a riot, and every Pride festival after that kind of was overtly sexual because our sex was outlawed. Holding hands was outlawed. Public displays of affection was outlawed. The very sex that we have was outlawed. So in some ways, sex, when it comes to LGBTQ people, is actually a form of protest, and being overtly sexual is a form of protest because our sex used to be illegal. I found the outrage online shocking myself because I think it's manufactured. I am in a country where my president won the office and everyone knew that he said he wanted to grab people by their private parts. And you guys lost a prince over a sex scandal. So there's certainly a lot to be outraged about online when it comes to sex. I'm not sure that this is one of those things. I do think it's off color. I think that it misses the mark. But to be angry over it, no, it's just sex. You know, it's just sex. So let's all calm down. They made a bad joke. And I just really feel that moving forward, I would question my social media person before I let them post. It's almost you know. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Charles, I think you make some really interesting points there, actually. But when you say it's just sex, isn't that part of the problem? Isn't that what many people online are appalled about? That actually sex used to be, and maybe is for, perhaps it is different, I think, in the gay community, not for everybody, but for perhaps more of a majority, that sex isn't about love. It isn't about love.
Our wonderful friend,
so the idea that it's just sex is the bit that I think is a little offensive. Go on then, Matthew.
Yeah, if I can just have a word, thanks. I want to quote the late, great Christopher Hitchens, who said that homosexuality isn't just a form of sex, it is a form of love. You know, as a gay man, it's not just about the sex, it's about being able to express my full self and love another person who happens to be of the same gender. And, you know, I think, thank goodness, we've come, broadly speaking, to an acceptance about that, although there is still homophobia and there's still homophobic attacks, etc., which is disgraceful, of course. But I think, broadly speaking, most people accept that there are gay people and they just so happen to want to be with people of the same gender. So I think this kind of campaign, and I agree with our friend here, they were obviously trying to be funny. I don't personally think it's funny at all, but I think it does demean our love, which is more than just sex.
Well, I would very much disagree there. Not that our love and sex are two different things when it comes, especially in advertising. Sex sells. That came about in the 70s, that line in advertising, sex sells. Over here, we had a burger chain in the 70s and 80s named Carl's Jr., who literally had women in bikinis eating sloppy burgers where they dripped onto their breast, and they said if it's not in your face, it looked like body fluids. Sex sells. And that has nothing to do with love. Every perfume ad, every toothpaste ad, every car ad, sex sells. So when we're talking about advertising, sex sells. Now, do I as a gay man want to be seen as more than just sex? Of course I do. I don't think anyone wants to be seen as just sex, unless of course you're on OnlyFans. So you know, to be seen as more than, especially around Pride, I do take your point. We are fighting. There are 400 anti-LGBTQ bills that are being progressed in this country right now. There is a war on trans people. Our president, and in the UK, gay rights are moving backwards. Having some fun with Pride, that's great. But at this point in our history, we are literally fighting for rights that we won 20 years ago that are now actually trying to be taken away again. So I maintain that Pride festivals should refocus and that corporations need to refocus. HelloFresh could have done a lot of things. They could have collabed with a lot of LGBTQ chefs and released meals that were, you know, for your perfect date night. They could have donated proceeds of HelloFresh to LGBTQ festivals, which are suffering. So many in the UK have been canceled because of lack of funds. So they certainly could have made a nice donation.
But Charles, isn't, like, genuinely, like, help me out here as a straight woman. I just seem to be bombarded with pride flags everywhere, with branding that are preoccupied by who people want to sleep with and have sex with.
Well, now you know how it feels to be a gay person in America, where every single day, all day long, we are bombarded with images of heterosexual sex, every TV show that we turn on, every commercial that we turn on, every billboard that we see. So now you know how it feels to be me. I am bombarded with straight sex all day, every day. So when the gays give it to you for 1 month, suddenly it's too much? Honey, no. We are bombarded with that in our lives every day.
I know, but we don't care. Like, my point being,
I don't care about straight sex either, but I have to see it all day, every day.
No, let me finish.
Which is it?
I think it is a sign of progress when you don't need Pride Month. Isn't that a sign of progress?
But we do need it. There's 400. Didn't you just hear me when I said there's 400 laws on the books right now, or trying to get on the books? Trans people don't even know what bathroom they're supposed to use anymore. We need Pride right now more than ever. We've got a president in the United States that wants to eradicate us. We have Project 2025, which wants to put us back in the closet and lock the door. We had a lawmaker last week right here in the United States from Tennessee post on his X account that homosexuality has no place in America. if you don't think we need pride right now, I don't know when you think we do.
I think, I genuinely, I find it interesting when I hear gay people say that the trans people are in your Venn diagram. Because unfortunately, I think what's happened is, and a lot of gay people that I interview say that gay rights had made great strides in the last 50, 60, 70 years. You know, we have in the UK at the moment an MP who may actually be our first gay male prime minister if he wins a challenge against our PM.
And what a shame that is. How many prime ministers have you had and not one gay until now? That's a shame.
No, but it's not. Well, listen, there might have been, but they weren't out. Yeah. But that's my point, is nobody cares anymore, right?
If people didn't care, why are they having this discussion? If people don't care, why are they having this discussion? Of course they care. It's naive to think they don't care. If this ad didn't reference gay sex, you wouldn't be talking about it right now. Of course you care. And
so Bev, can I answer your question?
But I did want to put in about the trans community. The LGBTQ community has always stood with marginalized communities, and the trans community is being extraordinarily marginalized right now, and we stand with them, we support them, we welcome them into our tent, and we fight for them, because we know what it's like to be on the receiving end of this marginalization, and they are our brothers and sisters, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, and we stand with them, we welcome them into our tent, and we are happy they are a letter, we're happy they're a part of us.
Well, I think trans people, hang on, I think the trans activists who are very loud have done gay people a massive disservice, and I think they have caused a huge amount of backlash against gay people.
By standing up for their rights to exist?
Don't see gender dysphoria as being comparable to being gay, because I think
why they're both biological, they're both normal and natural, they're both a part of being human.
Bev, can I just have a word? Can I just have one word?
Yeah.
I think with our wonderful friend here, we found someone who loves talking even more than I do, which I didn't think was actually possible. I mean, I want to say that I agree, and that I don't know what gay people you're talking to, Bev, but those that I know and love say that there's no LGB without the T, and I absolutely agree, and that trans rights are human rights. And I can tell you that the trans people that I know just want to be able to get through their day without being attacked in the street, without being spat on in the streets.
I don't know. Maybe some of them do, but I can tell you, but also bear in mind, as a female, apart from the men who want to compete in women's sports, for instance, so let's just think about that for a minute. That is what has been so alienating and so upsetting for so many people who would otherwise be on board with, of course, trans people living a peaceful, quiet life or whatever, like doing their own thing. Most people don't have any objection to that, but it's the women's spaces and women's sport which I think has lit the touch paper for a lot of people who would otherwise be incredibly nonplussed.
And Bev, I think that, and I'm not going to break ranks here, but I think there's room for a dialogue there. My friend Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, and I have had this conversation because he has gotten some flack for his stance on this. I believe, and not that it matters, I'm not the king of the world, but it depends on when you transition. If you transition pre-puberty, then I have no problem with a male to female transgendered person being in women's sports. If you transition after puberty, and Martina Navratilova brought this up, where you've already grown bigger, your muscles have already developed, you're already taller, you're already, your body type is different. If you transition post-puberty, then there may be a discussion there about, is it fair for that person to be competing in that event? I don't think it has to be black or white on this, only on the trans sports issue. I'm not talking about other trans issues, but on the male to female in female sports, I think there is room for a dialogue there.
But it's like,
hang on, Matthew, but that begs the question, Charles. Hang on, that begs the question, Charles. Whether you think somebody should be able to transition before puberty.
But that's okay. Well, again...
what am I getting wrong?
My name is Karel, K-A-R-E-L. Charles is my first name, but I don't use it. But that's fine. I haven't heard it in a while, and it's great to hear it. But okay, that is a different conversation about whether people should be allowed to transition prior to puberty or after. I think it's up to their doctors, their families, their God, or whoever might be in that mix. It's not up to me. It's not up to you. We don't have that decision to make. However, when they start to compete in sports, I do believe that we need to take certain criteria into account. And so I do think there's room for a dialogue there. But going back to HelloFresh, our conversation right now about trans people proves why we still need Pride. There's still room to educate and grow. There's still room for opinions to be discussed and not shut down, and listen to everybody and then come to some conclusion somewhere. I applaud them for starting a dialogue. Again, it's a bad joke. I didn't like it. I have never been one of these gay people that want to tell the world what I do when it comes to being in bed, and this ad obviously is inferring. I always think, I like the surprise. What day of the week is it? So I'm not one of those people that think advertising that is something that I would do. But maybe I'm old. I'm 63, so maybe the young kids have no problem talking about what they do in bed. I just think decorum still has a place in modern day society.
Young people are having less sex. Listen, Karel, I'm not quite as old as you, but I'm not a million miles off. And believe me, the kids are not having any sex at all. It's one of the reasons why they're all so depressed, is because they aren't.
Yeah, amen.
But this is what's so confusing, is because you've got adverts where they think it's entirely normal to talk about colon cleansing in preparation for Pride Month beside a generation of children, young adults, let's say, not children, young adults in their late teens, early 20s who are isolated, not having connection, not meeting people in real life, have got a real lack of affection and intimacy in their lives. And I think it raises a genuine question in 2026 as to what messaging are we giving, Matthew, to the younger generation?
Yeah, and that goes back to the very interesting discussion you were having earlier on with your panel, Bev, in regards to mobile phones and social media and technology and all of that stuff. And I think that's a really serious issue. And, I don't praise Keir Starmer often, but I think if he genuinely is going to attempt to tackle that, then I would agree with him in that. But if I can just come back to the issue of competing rights, as I've said on this network, and I think to you as well, Bev, before, I think where there is perceived competing rights, the answer is not to hit anger level 100. The answer is to sit down and have a proper dialogue and a proper discussion about where those competing rights potentially are, and how we can have a situation where cis women feel safe and where trans women feel safe as well. I don't think that should be beyond us.
No, and I fully agree with you. There needs to be a dialogue there, because both sides need to agree. Cisgendered women in sports should not feel that they can't compete because there's going to be someone that's unfair. By the way, I predict a riot. Kaiser Chiefs, FYI.
Yeah, I think we were.
You wondered who it's the Kaiser Chiefs. You wondered who it was.
I've got a suggested song for the Chancellor.
Oh, go on then, Matthew.
My suggested song for the Chancellor is "I Should Be So Lucky" by Kylie Minogue.
Very good. Karel Booley, what a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you so much. I'm
Lovely
so sorry
to be
that
here.
they've given me your wrong name.
That's quite all right.
Thanks, guys.
You can call me anything you like, so long as it's not a Republican. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Matthew.
Well,
I'd love to chat again.
We need more Democrats.
Nice to see you. Cheers.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Right, let me ask my panel then about HelloFresh and their advertising campaign. Laurie Watkins, are you easily shocked?
I'm so glad that ended on that note.
I can always find common ground with my panelists. I do think, and I take Karel's point, is who's saying that we never needed it more than ever, but I would have wanted to dig down into that a bit more, because from the outside looking in as a straight person, I see no prejudice against gay people anymore. I just don't see it anywhere. I don't experience it in the workplace. I don't see it walking down the street. I just don't see it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Oh, I'm glad you said that, because it absolutely exists. I'm glad that you're not seeing it and that it's not happening. But
where? How?
It happens all over. I mean, I don't look for it. I see it. I'm observant. I pay attention. And when I do see stuff like that, I absolutely use my voice and speak up.
But genuinely, come on, give me an example.
That they don't need a month anymore, that was, I found a little harsh. We have
but give me an example.
Hispanic
Hang on.
Heritage
Give me an example. We're not going to move on until I've had an example.
All of them.
Because I think you're doing that thing where you go, of course, discrimination against gay people exists. But I need
there are facts about that.
But give me an example.
Hang on. Just said there are 400 laws on the books that they're trying to overturn or that are hurting the LGBTQ community, and so that I agree with his point.
But I wonder what they are. Like, what are they specifically?
So go look, Ben. Yes, I see it all the time. Injustices
Give me an
against gay
example.
people.
Give me an example.
I've lived with a gay man for over a year recently when I was going through a divorce, and I saw injustices against him all the time.
Like what? Help me out. I'm not being facetious here. It's not a gotcha. I want to know where this prejudice exists.
Microaggressions, calling people out.
I don't believe in microaggressions.
The way that they speak, saying that they're effeminate, the way that they dress, making little remarks about people. Yeah, all the time. Just because you're not understanding or picking up on it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, Bev.
It's not that I'm not picking up on it, but I'm just wondering whether. So what? So when you say a microaggression, so like walking down the street and somebody might say what? Oh look, there's a gay guy. Like
That's definitely an aggression. That's not a microaggression. That's a blatant.
And you see that
form of discrimination. Someone saying that out loud to somebody.
But you would see that.
That's freedom of speech here in the United States. I'm not against that, but yeah, it can be hurtful and harmful to people. Do you say that to somebody when you're walking down the street? Anyone? No. So you wouldn't be offended by that?
I'm not buying it though. You're not giving me.
You don't have to buy
Bev,
it.
I have a micro.
Yeah, but you're here to convince me.
I have a microaggression, Bev. We finally found somebody on the program more dramatic than Lori, and that was Carell. And in fact, Carell made some very bigoted statements. The isolation or the separation from prepubescent transitioning individuals and those who have moved through puberty. That is a dramatic argument taking place in the LGBT community. One of the strongest arguments I think Matthew Holbert made was the situation of June is used by corporations to siphon off money and specifically target this community. And it is, I thought last year we in the United States eliminated that, but it is absolutely a dramatic situation here. Really kind of an odd conversation to have had. And anyway, so we've now talked about Pride Month several times on this show since the beginning of the month.
Well, the funny thing is, if I can bring in London as well, there are sort of anecdotally, and I think it's quite evident as well this year, that there are fewer brands who are. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. It was a conversation before we went on, sorry.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, I thought you were laughing at me. I was going, don't laugh at me before you even worked out what I'm going to say.
No.
So my point being that there appears to be fewer brands this year who are jumping on the Pride bandwagon, let's say. There are slightly fewer rainbow flags on packets of biscuits or whatever it is this year. Now, some people are saying, oh, that's because they realise that there has been a backlash against the trans community, let's say, or that common sense is prevailing, and these things we're hearing. But I also think it's because what I hope is that we're getting to a point where it no longer matters whose genitals you want to touch, and that you just want to be viewed for your character, for your merits, for who you are. Because when we talked about the fact that Wes Streeting might become Prime Minister, nobody even mentioned the fact that he would be the first gay Prime Minister with his boyfriend living with him or his husband. It's so not relevant. And that's got to be, surely, Jonathan, that's progress. That is what progress looks like.
Bev, if there was a utopian society that we had where people were free to live exactly the lives they wanted, where trans people could also live freely with full rights, and there was homophobic violence was almost unthinkable on Britain's streets, and we had all the rights, and also remember that Pride is also about solidarity with people in other parts of the world. We are marching for people who can't march. We are marching for people who don't have those rights. Those are our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world. Then fine, I would sort of see your point. But that is not the world we live in. And actually, there's a rollback of rights. The reason that you're seeing fewer pride flags everywhere is because the people who want to roll back those rights are in the ascendant. And people, we're not talking about just the removal of pride flags from biscuit tins. We're talking about people in positions of influence who want, in parts of America, you want to see equal marriage reversed, for example, and shifting that over to a window more towards that. So testing it, sort of having test case in, I think, some states in America, which will probably go to the Supreme Court, which I would not be at all surprised if they adjudicate on this in the next few years, and with a Conservative majority may well send it back to the states, just as they did on abortion. So these are arguments that are current. We're not living in a one-way street, Bev. I know that you are, you're one of our main allies. I'm very happy for you to be one of our allies. But there are plenty of Conservatives who are not our allies, and they don't have our best interests at heart. And they think that they are harking back to 1970s ideas that we are somehow against the family, that we're a threat to kids or to nuclear families and all this stuff. I'm having these debates actually more often on this channel as well about, sort of whether gay people should adopt kids and all this stuff that we thought were settled arguments. So these are absolutely conversations we need to have, and that is why pride is more relevant than ever, I would argue.
Matthew?
I was thinking about the statistics. The number one threat, and this is a very serious thing I'm about to say, the number one threat to trans individuals is, in fact, themselves. There's a 42% suicide rate among trans individuals. And so there is a much deeper question that individuals are not asking about the mental well-being of people who believe they are born into a different body. And we had this, Jonathan and I had this conversation last week on this program about transitioning people prepubescent, those who can't make decisions for themselves, who maybe are tomboys, young girls who like playing baseball or with G.I. Joe, whatever it happens to be. And there is a political movement above and beyond what many gay and lesbian activists engage in that is not under the realm of intersectionality drags people into a political conversation that is not the same as people should be able to live the way they want their lives in their homes.
Rob, go on.
I mean, the alphabet police may come after me for saying this, but I don't believe in having the T and the LGB together because they're two very separate things. It's sexuality and there's gender. They were just lumped together for convenience back in the 80s or whatever. But this all comes down to like DEI and things like that. And I really do believe that DEI is all about segregation, about putting one community in front of another and giving them more rights or whatever. To me, equality is all about, treating everyone equally, no matter who you sleep with.
Of course it is.
Why do people need to know who you sleep with now? That's your own business between adults. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And when we talk about this advert, I thought the advert was grotesque. I thought it was tasteless, it was grotesque. Like, why do we need this? Why do we need to know how much fibre people are eating to go bottom or whatever? We don't need to know this stuff. I don't want to know about all this. And secondly, what rights are being taken away here? What gay rights are seriously being taken away? It's just ridiculous.
Gay men, we talk about gay men talking about topping and bottoming all the time. It's just a joke.
No one wants to know what happens.
No one has to say. It's a company that is having a bit of a joke. Not everything has to be so serious. It's really not the end of the world. And to answer your point there, the reason that we have to, of course, it's about equality, but we have to take account of oppression.
Let Laurie come in. Let Laurie come in.
I would like to talk about something serious for one corporation. So when there's fear and there is intimidation and there is retaliation, that absolutely will contribute to companies not coming out publicly about supporting Pride. And I use this very specific fact-driven piece of information, Bev, which was in 2025 last year when Donald Trump came out and basically said, I want everyone to roll back or get rid of their DEI policies, and if you don't, there will be consequences. Target, for example, did just that. And here in the United States, there was Huge. There was a huge, especially in the African American community, that said, no more. I'm not going to give you my money. Just in the first quarter, they lost $690 million, less revenue than they had the same quarter earlier. Comparable store sales fell 3.8%, and the CEO, Brian Cornell, specifically acknowledged that consumer backlash to the DEI rollback was one factor among many that contributed to their loss. Huge amounts of loss in revenue. I have
one factor amongst many, and I can tell you now there are more brands.
I can give you a whole list of brands and companies that were
but there are more brands
the same way.
There are more brands that have gone. My show. There are more brands that have gone woke and gone broke than there are brands like Target that might have lost a bit of money because they rode back on their DEI policy, which I can imagine was not popular within the actual workplace, because even people who benefit from those DEI systems within those companies, they don't necessarily want to be promoted and then looked at as the token black woman or the token gay guy. The policies haven't worked within those companies. We all want to, I think. And listen, I am a woman. I would benefit from DEI. Believe me, I know sexism exists in the workplace. I get it. But we have to, surely, as human beings, we have to evolve to the point where it doesn't matter who you're sleeping with, what your gender is. In an ideal world, if we are aiming for this utopia, that you get the promotion on merit. You don't just get there because you tick a particular box. That's got to be the aim, Jonathan.
Of course, but the point is, in order to get to that place, you have to, in some cases, engineer the outcome that you want. And part of that is to take account of the fact that we don't live in a fair and equal society. There is a history of discrimination and marginalisation and oppression in some communities that dates back centuries in some cases. And that is why you have to change things. You have to promote people from certain groups in society, not at the expense of anyone. That's not the expense.
90s.
That's the 90s. The 90s was only 30 years ago. The 90s, not all our problems are solved in the 90s, Bev. And there is still systemic oppression and discrimination in society.
And look what we've had since then. Look what we've had since positive discrimination. You had a black prime minister, a black president in this country. We have had female prime ministers in the UK. We potentially, as I've said, may be about to have our first gay prime minister in the UK. And we've got a gay, you have a gay Scott Bessent as the Treasury Secretary here, we'd call the Chancellor Exchequer, a gay man in a relationship. Nobody ever mentions the fact that Scott Bessent is gay. It's never mentioned here because he's valued for the job that he does, and that has got to surely be better than every time he stands on stage. Everyone goes, "Oh, look at this gay! Look, we have a gay Treasury Secretary." Scott Bessent wouldn't want that. He wouldn't want that. He wouldn't want to be defined by that. He wouldn't want to be defined by his. Well, they're not. They've given him that position. He's got the second most powerful position in this country. It doesn't exactly demonstrate discrimination against gay people, does it? I don't
think Trump is homophobic, particularly. No, it's not.
The highest number of Grindr accounts is by Republicans, right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So what's your point?
Well, they're not out, Bev, so that is the point.
This town
if they're not
is
out, why? Because they probably don't feel safe.
No one said that gay people can't be right-wing. That's not the argument.
Gosh. But that seems to be the argument, because you've got the people on this panel who might be considered to be right-wing, whatever that even means anymore in 2026. I hate the definition. But we are the ones who are saying, let's move along from this. And yet we're the ones who would be looked at as being potentially homophobic, as Karel Booley said there.
But I don't think that you or anyone on this panel is homophobic, Bev, and I don't think even Trump is homophobic. It's one thing that I don't think that he is actually. I mean, he's the number of comments he makes about muscular men. He might be the first gay president, for all I know. So I don't think that's necessarily the issue. What I am saying is that there is a rollback of rights in general, and that you need to take account of things in order to make sure that you do have this fair and equal society where we don't need to worry about that going forward. Not at the expense of anyone. It's more the sense that if you do have people who have equal qualifications, who are equally equipped to do a role, you look at the people who might have been systemically marginalised historically.
Now let's just sprinkle a little nuance over this whole topic with this next story, which might spin some people out, depending on your political persuasion, because still to come this.
I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you.
I've met him a few times.
He's so...
Okay. She was trailing on election night, but after days of postal vote counting, that was Nithya Ryman who surged into second place, and Spencer Pratt's mayoral hopes in Los Angeles are dashed. President Trump has called the election rigged. This is The Late Show Live.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome along to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A lot of showers around today, some big beefy ones as well. Hail, thunder, lightning, all possible with some sunny spells in between. We're starting with a zone of cloud and showery rain across central and eastern England. That'll work out into the North Sea, then sunshine and then lots of showers. Already following into Northern Ireland and Scotland. As I mentioned, some pretty intense downpours likely. One of those days where 1 minute you've got a biblical downpour, 15 minutes later the sun is out. And certainly in the south in the afternoon, the emphasis will be a bit more on sunshine and not as many showers, but it's not going to be a warm day, feeling cooler in the breeze and when the downpours come along, of which there'll still be plenty of them around as we go through the evening. Still a few thunderstorms likely to rumble on also, but parts of the south, as I say, seeing some good spells of sunshine to end the day. Plenty of showers for North Wales, Northern Ireland coming and going throughout the day, as they will across much of Northern England and Scotland. Don't be surprised if you get caught out by a hail shower coming in. The wind's a little lighter over northern Scotland, so the showers are a little more slow moving perhaps here. As we go through the evening time, the showers will continue to fade in many central and eastern parts, so some lengthy dry and clear spells here, but we'll always keep some showers feeding in on a fairly brisk westerly wind. So the showers keeping going for much of Wales, northwest England, western Scotland and Northern Ireland. With some clearer skies, we could well dip down into the mid single figures in rural spots. Most towns and cities start Wednesday about 7 to 9 Celsius. Another day of showers to come tomorrow as well. Again, like today, there'll be some spells of sunshine, certainly to start with over eastern Scotland, but also like today, where the showers do occur, yes, they'll be moving through, but they could turn into thundery downpours with hail and lightning possible too. Maybe turning a bit drier in Wales and southwest England for the afternoon. Still quite blustery and still on the cool side.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Welcome back. Moving on to our main news this evening. President Trump is alleging that the Los Angeles mayoral race is rigged after reality TV star Spencer Pratt was overtaken in the vote count days after polls closed. So Pratt, who's best known for MTV reality show The Hills and Big Brother in the UK, had held second place since election night and was on course to face the incumbent mayor Karen Bass in November's runoff. But a surge of late counted postal ballots has pushed progressive city council member Nithya Ryman ahead by more than 3,000 votes, moving her into the crucial second qualifying spot. Ryman is a Democratic Socialist-backed councillor, first elected in 2020. She's built her campaign around housing, homelessness and progressive reforms, drawing strong support from younger Liberal voters across the city. Here she is. This was election night.
And Kaveri, I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in this city.
Oh, she looks strong and formidable, doesn't she? Well, Los Angeles election officials say the shift reflects California's lengthy mail-in voting process, with ballots postmarked by Election Day still being posted by Election Day. But Trump supporters have pointed to graphs showing Rama's support accelerating as postal votes were added. Taking to Truth Social, President Trump said it is not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after the big lead he had. Third world nation rigged elections, and now they'll be working on great guy Steve Hilton, who is running, of course, to be the new Gavin Newsom in LA. He said we won't have results possibly 2 weeks, according to officials. President DJT. Let me just bring you, before I bring my guest in, a small bit of breaking news to you. Republican Steve Hilton, he's the Brit, of course, who is standing in California, is projected to advance to the general election for California governor in November. That is according to Decision Desk HQ. Joining me now is Joel Pollak, opinion editor at the California Post. Joel, thank you very much for joining me this evening. Let's start with the Spencer Pratt story, first of all, if we can. Is it possible that he lost the LA runoffs after having such a big lead?
It is, of course, possible. I think what's disconcerting to people is watching the votes come in and reverse that lead when he had nearly an 8-point lead, which most people thought was insurmountable. And in fact, when Nithya Raman was crying there in that speech you played from election night, people assumed she was conceding the election. So to go from looking like you're conceding the election to suddenly being in second place is quite a transformation. And people are trying to piece together exactly how she was able to do that. She had a lot of weaknesses. She was widely judged the loser of the one debate that the three candidates had. And she's not even popular in her own city council district. Her own constituents tried to recall her a few years ago. That's a process where they can basically vote her out in a special election. And she wasn't very well known. But on the other hand, she did show up in a couple of polls in second place ahead of Spencer Pratt. And her campaign does seem to have concentrated its efforts among younger people, particularly around the large universities in Los Angeles. And also, this is a theory that I have been developing and that has been the topic of some research here at the California Post, where I am working. She may have mobilized homeless people to vote for her. Nithya Raman is relatively new to Los Angeles. I've lived in Los Angeles for 15 years. She's been in LA less than I have. And her first job in LA was working for the city on developing homeless policy. And she is also the chair of the homelessness committee on the city council. She hasn't made much of an impact on improving homelessness. You could even argue the opposite. But she has made connections among the organizations that work in the homeless community. And there seems to be a very large homeless turnout in this election, where organizers very likely signed people up to vote and then made sure that they took their ballots in. You can actually return other people's ballots in California. It's a really strange practice called ballot harvesting. So this story is one that we're still piecing together exactly how she leapfrogged Spencer Pratt. But it is possible it's a legitimate result. It does look terrible and it feels wrong to many people.
And it's just so bad for American democracy. I mean, listening to what you're saying then, I mean, I've been wondering what the sort of mechanism of fraud could have been, because President Trump needs evidence on this. He walked out of an interview at the weekend because he was pressed on this issue. What was the evidence that these were rigged?
Well,
he had the same.
I'm going to defend him. I usually think it's not good to walk out of an interview just because it's a tough interview. But in this case, he wasn't actually pressed for evidence about the fraud that he alleged was happening in California. He was pressed for evidence about fraud he alleged happened 6 years ago. And what is happening is the media are saying, let's talk about 2020. But actually, the issue is 2026, and it's happening in an election that the entire country is watching because it's the only election of any note that happened that day, really. There were a couple other primaries. But the real question is, look, we have a process of voting, of registration, and of counting votes that is so vulnerable to fraud if one were to try to commit it, that you almost say the burden of proof should be on the people who say there isn't fraud. And I'll just tell you, I'll give you a couple of examples. So there's no evidence this has happened yet, okay? So you're correct that there's no evidence. The president doesn't have evidence. But when you look at this process, ballot harvesting, all right, it's legal in California for you to return other people's ballots, as many as you can possibly return. There's no limit. You don't even have to say who you are. You can sign the back of the envelope. They don't check the signature. And this is regularly done by Democrats. It's now being done by Republicans as well in some races. And many people find it, if not fraudulent, at least quite manipulable, especially because there are hundreds of thousands of people receiving ballots who either may be dead or may have moved. It's not uncommon for people to receive 2 ballots, one for them and one for somebody else who doesn't live there anymore, where the ballot is delivered. And so, you know, when these ballots are harvested or picked up by people, how do you know that the people actually voted properly? I mean, there's no check on it. So there's no evidence of fraud, but there are so many vulnerabilities.
Yeah, when you just so that we understand in the UK, so when you say you can return somebody's ballot, we would get it in the UK in an envelope that you sign if you want to do a postal vote, and most people still go to the polls, they don't post it. But then you seal it and it's done and you post it and you can't open it again. It's got quite a specific process. Do you have the same here? And are you saying that somebody could, so for instance, if you went to, I don't know, like a care home with 50 residents who'd all been sent their ballots, you could take those, if you were a corrupt receptionist at that home, you could take all those, you could fill them in, you could say, yes, Mrs. Smith, I've done your ballot for you, and you just post them, and you could just get 50 Democrat votes in. Is that how it works?
It would be illegal, but there's no way to stop it. That is how it works. I mean, the signature on the envelope is supposed to match the signature on your voter file, but the process of checking those signatures is very loose, to say the least. There's no identifying code or no photo identification required, no way really of ensuring that the ballot that is cast is the ballot that corresponds to that voter. I mean, when you sign your postal ballot in the UK, how does the person receiving that ballot know it actually came from you?
Well, they don't. It's on trust, isn't it? We've actually just changed it recently so that if you do go to vote in person, you are meant to take some ID with you, a driving license or a passport or something. But
okay, so we don't have that. In fact, in California, it's illegal to ask for identification of that kind. I mean, they've actually made it illegal for communities to say we need a photo ID so we can prove who you are. You know, watching this happen. Also, most of the people in California vote now by mail or by post, ever since the pandemic, because we were told inaccurately that it was dangerous to our health to go to polling places, and so they started sending ballots out to everybody on the rolls. Well, when you do that, you're going to send ballots to some people who really shouldn't be on the rolls anymore because they've moved or because they died. And so watching this happen, the other thing is, and this is really this is really where the real amusement comes in. As you mentioned in their lead up to this interview, they will accept ballots arriving late as long as they are postmarked by Election Day. So as you and I are speaking tonight, the election was 6 days ago, but they will still accept your ballot up to 7 days after the election. So how do you know that the postmark on that envelope is a legitimate postmark? How do you know that someone in the Postal Workers Union, and the Postal Workers Union, by the way, does endorse candidates, how do you know they didn't decide to postmark things that weren't posted in time? Now, there are other states that do vote by mail, but they require the ballots to arrive by Election Day. This extended period not only adds a level of distrust, but it also means the count takes forever. We don't even know how many ballots were counted or were cast because we don't know how many have come in. And so, you know, it just creates a process that is not trustworthy to many people.
There's a lot of holes.
It's got a lot of holes. Again, this could be a perfectly legitimate result. I think people would have had an easier time accepting it if it had been reported as such on election night, and where the candidate who looked like she had lost and was tearfully offering what sounded like a concession speech, you know, wasn't in fact the winner. So, you know.
Okay. Joel, thank you so much for joining us on The Late Show Live. Really appreciate it. Opinion editor at the California Post there, Joel Pollack. Let me just quickly ask my panel, we've got about 90 seconds left. Is it some dodgy
I don't think so at this point. What we do know is that statistically Democrats vote by mail at a higher rate. I have harvested ballots in Virginia. Our Republican, the top barrister in Virginia, a couple of years ago authorized it. There are plenty of questions that we could ask. I'm just not sure there was any nefarious activity.
Yeah. Would you want people to have to take ID, Laurie, to vote?
Yeah, and I'm going to push back on what that gentleman said. I lived in California for 3 years, and yes, every single person in the state of California, whether or not you're even registered, well, no, you have to be registered to vote, but you are sent a vote by mail, an absentee ballot in the mail, whether or not you requested it or not. Amazing. Higher turnout rates in the state of California overall. There is less than 1% of election fraud, even like less than half of a percentage point of election fraud here in the United States. So no, I don't think that there is any nefarious activity happening with California. You have millions and millions of people that live in a state, and you have those absentee ballots being counted. It takes a while, and that's it. People need to be patient.
I wonder if it is that. Jonathan and Rob, we have only a few seconds left. Do you think Spencer Pratt, in a word, Jonathan, did he lose that election fairly?
I think there's very little case for election fraud.
Okay, Rob?
I think there should be IDs.
Rob,
everyone should have IDs. I think it's been a great thing here.
I think possibly, probably, I don't know how I feel about that, because we know it's a little slippery slope to digital ID. Right, thank you all. It's nice to be back. We're back tomorrow night, midnight in the UK, 7 o'clock here in Washington, DC. Matthew, Laurie, Rob and Jonathan, thank you at home. Night-night.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. Welcome along to your latest weather update from the Met Office here on GB News. A lot of showers around today, some big beefy ones as well. Hail, thunder, lightning, all possible with some sunny spells in between. We're starting with a zone of cloud and showery rain across central and eastern England. That'll work out into the North Sea, then sunshine and then lots of showers. Already following into Northern Ireland and Scotland. As I mentioned, some pretty intense downpours likely. One of those days where 1 minute you've got a biblical downpour, 15 minutes later the sun is out. And certainly in the south in the afternoon, the emphasis will be a bit more on sunshine and not as many showers, but it's not going to be a warm day, feeling cooler in the breeze and when the downpours come along, of which there'll still be plenty of them around as we go through the evening. Still a few thunderstorms likely to rumble on also, but parts of the south, as I say, seeing some good spells of sunshine to end the day. Plenty of showers for North Wales, Northern Ireland coming and going throughout the day, as they will across much of Northern England and Scotland. Don't be surprised if you get caught out by a hail shower coming in. The wind's a little lighter over northern Scotland, so the showers are a little more slow moving perhaps here. As we go through the evening time, the showers will continue to fade in many central and eastern parts, so some lengthy dry and clear spells here, but we'll always keep some showers feeding in on a fairly brisk westerly wind. So the showers keeping going for much of Wales, northwest England, western Scotland and Northern Ireland. With some clearer skies, we could well dip down into the mid single figures in rural spots. Most towns and cities start Wednesday about 7 to 9 Celsius. Another day of showers to come tomorrow as well. Again, like today, there'll be some spells of sunshine, certainly to start with over eastern Scotland, but also like today, where the showers do occur, yes, they'll be moving through, but they could turn into thundery downpours with hail and lightning possible too. Maybe turning a bit drier in Wales and southwest England for the afternoon. Still quite blustery and still on the cool side.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me. Do you trust what you're being told? Good, because neither do I.
Those are just facts.
I'm Alex Armstrong, and on my show, we'll expose the spin.
Well, I want to answer that because you didn't let me last time, because you always speak over me.
The broken promises.
To deny that is denying the truth.
And the hypocrisy.
Needs to stop. You think we can allow?
Politics, policy, parliament. Nothing is off limits. No sugarcoating, no fear of offence, just the truth laid bare. Tune in every Saturday and Sunday at 9 p.m. for Alex Armstrong Tonight, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howard. This is the show where each week we see what's happening in the world of culture, current affairs and politics.
First we'll say, welcome to the UK. Oh, thank you.
And we're not afraid to use our free speech so that you can use yours.
It's not controversial in the slightest to anyone who hasn't lost their mind.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays, here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
The GB News audience is different, it's unique, because they see through the nonsense.
We want to debate with each other, we want to listen and maybe learn.
We have a chat. That's what we do. We try and have a chat.
They'll watch my programme while they're eating their tea, they'll watch breakfast while they're busy getting their kids ready for school.
We want to hear what matters to you, what is news for you.
And what's brought you out here today?
What are the biggest issues affecting this particular area?
The audience are the best thing about GB News.
Their friends, their family. They're people who need to have their voices heard.
They're passionate about the channel, they're passionate about what they believe in.
The one thing about GB News is you get a chance to speak.
Talk to me about why so many people have gathered here today.
Do you want to say something back in return? The GB News audience is what makes GB News special.
It's incredible to see.
They shape our programmes, they shape our output, and they shape our channel.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain. It's 9 p.m. I'm Patrick Christie's. Tonight, Henry Novak's murderer was filmed firing a gun in his back garden. Police did nothing, and
we don't just want to hear an apology, we want reparation.
Well, anti-white racism is rife. I'm going to show you jobs that white people aren't allowed to get. Also,
not visitors, we are belongers and we be here to stay.
Well, now President Trump wants to buy the Chagos Islands. Should we let him? Plus,
how many frigates do we have in the fleet?
We have.
Britain's aircraft carrier is knackered, our destroyers are broken, and now our submarines don't work either. Also,
I cannot love Madeleine more than I love her. I would never have taken a risk. It was something that wasn't even a decision. That's how safe it felt.
Tonight, the Met Police have been handed new evidence about Maddie McCann's alleged killer. Have they finally cracked the case? On my panel, we have got Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We have got co-founder of the Together Declaration, Alan Miller, and journalist Benjamin Butterworth. And there's bad news for people in the Mediterranean. Yes, that's right. Don't go or do go swimming anyway, but, you know, be careful. Anyway, also, check this out from the Philippines. I'll explain to you exactly what's going on there. So get ready, Britain. Here we go. White people need not apply. Next.
Patrick, thank you. Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 9:02. The mother of one of the students stabbed to death in the Nottingham attack says the victims and their families have been robbed of justice, claiming their killer has got away with murder. University students Barnaby Webber and Grace O'Malley Kumar and school caretaker Ian Coates were killed by a paranoid schizophrenic, Valdo Calacane, in 2023. He was sentenced to an indefinite hospital order, but Barnaby's mother, Emma Webber, says he should face a murder trial.
Months we've sat through the statutory public inquiry and watched the evidence unfold. It's been brutal, bruising and harrowing beyond measure, but it was so very necessary. Just look at what it has uncovered. Every single agency failed. Every single one, without exception.
Multiple women have accused the billionaire businessman David Sullivan of abusing his power and preying on them for sex. A joint investigation by the Times newspaper and BBC Panorama reveals many of the claims are made by young models at the Daily and Sunday Sport newspapers, which were founded by Mr Sullivan. He resigned as co-chair of West Ham United on Saturday after 16 years in the role ahead of its publication. He's categorically denying all the allegations. Iran and Israel say they've agreed to stop attacking each other for now after both sides exchanged fire for the first time since a truce began in April. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says his military is ready to respond with force if Iran's attacks continue, while Iran is warning of a more severe response if Israel continues to strike southern Lebanon. In a post on Truth Social, US President Donald Trump says both countries want to put an immediate ceasefire in place. Sir Keir Starmer is urging tech companies to prevent children from sending and receiving explicit and harmful content online or face tougher action. Under the new plans, big firms like Apple and Google must use built-in features on smartphones to detect and block nude images for children. Meanwhile, it's understood Sir Keir Starmer is preparing to announce a ban on social media for under 16-year-olds within days. Ben Stokes and Gus Atkinson are being investigated for a breach of team protocols. The England and Wales Cricket Board says a probe has been launched after an incident at a nightclub in the early hours of this morning. England beat New Zealand in the first test at Lord's yesterday. You're up to date for now. I'll be back with more in an hour.
Tune in to GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player, on Nation Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
Good evening. Anti-white racism is rife in Britain. A government department is banning middle-class white boys from applying for an internship. The National Audit Office, which is taxpayer-funded, says that only people who are female, of black heritage or from lower socioeconomic backgrounds could apply. OK, so the obvious flaw there is that the black son of a multimillionaire who went to Eton and then Oxford University can apply, but a white lad who lives in a two-up, two-down in Milton Keynes, whose parents earn about 60 grand a year combined and drive a 10-year-old Mazda car, can't. There are jobs that white people, regardless of how rich or poor they are, simply can't apply for. The Bank of England has an internship that only black or mixed race people can apply for. They say, quotes, diversity and inclusion are critical to the bank's mission. If the bank is to succeed in meeting its objectives, it needs to attract and retain the best people and to reflect the society we serve. That requires a diverse workforce whose expertise and potential are nurtured by an inclusive working environment. Does somebody want to tell the Bank of England that their primary function is to maintain monetary and financial stability for the good of the people of the United Kingdom? And they're not really doing a very good job of that, are they? White working class boys are the worst performing in schools. They're the ones that need a leg up. No top law firms that I could find in the UK offer internships specifically and only for working class white men and boys. There are at least 80 for ethnic minorities. Only one university that I could find has a scheme for working class white boys. It's the University of Bradford, believe it or not. There are nearly 100 of these schemes, though, for ethnic minorities. People go, oh, well, look, we need to have these schemes because ethnic minorities are underrepresented in these areas, right? Well, what about the professions where they're overrepresented? Pharmacies, almost 45% of the UK pharmacist workforce is from a non-white background. Medical practitioners, over 43.7% of all medical doctors and dental practitioners are apparently ethnic minorities. And that rises to 50.4% across the UK. Taxi drivers. This is the most ethnically diverse single occupation in the UK. 53.8% of all taxi drivers come from ethnic minority backgrounds. Basketball. Basketball has one of the highest proportions of ethnic minority participants in the UK. So grassroots and urban basketball programmes, such as the London Basketball Association, report that more than 62% of their active players identify as black. All right, fine. So when are we going to see internships at pharmacies or dental practices that only white working class boys can apply for? Will the Taxi Drivers Union, if that's the thing, run a scholarship for white lads? Will we have a scheme specifically designed to get more white boys playing basketball? Imagine how excluded they must feel. Desperate to play basketball, but they just don't feel that they fit in with the prevailing culture. I mean, check this out. Around 70% of traffic wardens in London are immigrants, first-generation immigrants. 60%, apparently 60% of all traffic wardens operating in London are first-generation immigrants originating from West Africa. So what we have there is a clear overrepresentation of people from, I don't know, places like Senegal, Sierra Leone, the Gambia and Togo, despite the fact that we obviously are not that ethnically diverse in reality, and they're just dishing out parking tickets in our capital city. I mean, should we have a diversity scheme there that just means that only white people can apply for that? Would our country crumble? Would society implode from the inside out if we had fewer people from Burkina Faso fining you £60 for overstaying your parking slot by 2 minutes? No, it wouldn't. And what I want to know is at what point do we end this diversity drive? When do we end these internships, these scholarships, these workplace programmes? And let's have a little look, shall we, at the latest ethnic data from schools. This is the percentage of school pupils who are white British. In Slough, 9%. In Luton, 13.7%. Barking and Dagenham, 14.9%. Leicester, 19.5%. Birmingham, 23.6%, and Manchester, 28.7%. You get the picture. Now, there are some major cities in there. Let's have a look at the data on the percentage of children who don't speak English as their first language. Leicester, 56%. Manchester, 44%. Nottingham, 39%. Derby, 31%. Newcastle, 28%. So at what point do we stop saying that ethnic minorities need a leg up in society at the expense of white people? When all of those figures get to 50%, is that what it is? Is that the quota? When white people become a minority in Britain, is that it? I don't know. People have already started referring to white people as the global minority. All right, OK. Well, so at what point does the global minority get its own internships and university programmes and special job offers? We have roughly 16% youth unemployment in Britain at the moment. 27 non-EU migrants were given jobs for every one British national in the last year. So what does Thames Water do? Oh, they run a careers day just for refugees. Brilliant. The RAF has discriminated against white men. Various police forces have. We've actually seen that brought into sharp focus following the tragic murder of Henry Novak. Just stop it. The whole thing is an absolute load of rubbish. Just stop it. Let's get thoughts from my panel on this. Daily Express columnist Carol Malone, journalist and broadcaster Benjamin Butterworth, the co-founder of the Together Declaration, Alan Miller. Carol, I'll start with you. I mean, do we even need these internship programmes? I mean, what is this all about? At what point does it end?
Well, in this particular case, from the National Audit Office, it's outrageous that a government department is banning white men from applying. It's racism in its purest form. And the thing is, there's nothing new about racial gerrymandering in this country. It's happening in all the places you've just mentioned there. The NHS, it's happening in the police force, it's happening in the army, it's happening in graduate schemes, it's happening with internships, it's happening in schools, universities, everywhere. And it's just, we have to just get to a point now. We thought that Henry Novak's murder was going to be a line in the sand and these DEI policies were going to be chucked out. But it's clear that they're not going to be chucked out. This isn't about equal opportunities. This is about creating totally unequal opportunities for people who aren't white, and that is not fair. It feels to me like, we're going back to the days, I'm old enough to remember, where hotels and employers were allowed to put up notices saying no blacks, no Irish, no Indians. They were allowed to say that. That all changed with the Equality Act until 2010. Harriet Harman brought that in. It changed a bit before that, but certainly in 2010. No, it did change a bit, but there was still prejudice. But in 2010, it changed in terms of jobs and opportunities. But since then, that Equality Act has created racism and resentment. So well done, Miss Harman. And I just think, with Henry's death, we heard lots of instances with, about police forces banning white people from applying, and we were all outraged by it. Here we are a week later, it's still happening. It's still happening, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, Alan, what do you think about this? I mean, because the thing for me is when is it going to work the other way? So in those certain industries, if you want to call them that I pointed out, like pharmacy, for example, or the dental sector, where there is a significant overrepresentation of non-white people, basically, do you look at that? Does anyone look at that and go, all right, well, we'll do special internships for white people? It only seems to work one way.
Well, I think we have to start with the foundation, and I think it's time that we got rid of the Equality Act.
Yeah.
In many ways, we should call it the Inequality Act. It's been written by globalist lawyers, very particularly interested in the EU. And what we've seen is a consistent approach across the civil service and actually the private sector now, where the idea of actually discriminating, a bit like the positive discrimination in America, which really had catastrophic consequences, has become embedded in how we do things. And it promotes a grievance culture on the one hand, so you've got all sorts of tribunals and issues that are now promoted on the basis of that being an issue between staff. But much more very concerning. The National Audit Office is, it's almost laughable. It's meant to be holding Parliament to account and about how we're doing public spending. And when that is so enmeshed in this way, and you can see across the board, the Bank of England, we've seen this in MI6 and others with the security services, all promoting the idea that they're only going to do internships or promote certain groups with protected characteristics, BAME groups. That is hugely problematic, and it needs to go, because at the end of the day, this idea of diversity, it becomes a complete lie. What it actually does is it creates a huge amount of animosity, and it also means that we're not going to perform as a nation as we should be. I mean, and we're not going to be united, and we're not going to be efficient and productive.
But I imagine that you're going to seize on the idea that it's actually white middle-class boys who can't apply for this National Audit Office. But for me, the glaring flaw in this would be that if you were, as I said, the son of a black multi-millionaire who had been to Eton, Oxford, you could apply. So there is a bit of a flaw there. It's not really just a class thing. I mean, the one unifying feature there is that white people cannot apply.
Well, first of all, that's not true, because I think one of the qualifications is people from lower socioeconomic bodies. Yeah. And so that would include white working class boys, which, alongside many ethnic minorities, are underrepresented in lots of professional careers, lots of ideal careers that people want to have. Now, look, I totally disagree with everything you've said, because there are interns, there are access schemes for white middle class boys in particular all over the place. It's called nepotism.
Tell us some.
It is what this society runs on.
Let me put this to you then. What possible nepotism does your average white middle-class lad who was brought up in that 2 up, 2 down in Milton Keynes, whose parents earn a combined salary of 60 or 70 grand, which I think now would class you as middle class. They're definitely not rich. You know, they might go on one holiday a year to somewhere, you know, on the Costa del Sol for a week or so. Again, it's nice, but it's not wealth. Their parents don't drive a Porsche. They've gone to the local state school. What nepotism, what leg up does that person have in life, realistically?
We see all the time that people that get opportunities come from families where they already hold those positions in society. It's not just academic access and success
like Hamish Faulkner
that gives people opportunity. Well, I mean, that's an anecdote.
Or like Sue Gray's son.
What? Well, I've known Liam Conlon for a long time.
So that was nepotism, was it?
Liam Conlon is one of the most intelligent people I know, and he's a fantastic MP.
But it doesn't mean he would have got a job in government.
Hang on. You're going off the point, but I just want to point out, seeing as you've raised that person, Liam Conlon was severely ill during his teenage years and in hospital, and still got straight A's and a space at Oxford. So he's a remarkable man and shouldn't be undermined just because of who his mother is. Now, what I am saying is that it is not just academia that gets people opportunities. It is social and cultural capital. It is the ability to see people who've held high positions, who've succeeded, who've got up to the top of the ladder. And if you're from a background, whether it's a white working class boy or a black child of an immigrant, you don't get that belief.
So the same should apply for basketball. The same should apply for basketball, should it?
Well, first of all, I don't think any
pharmacy.
I don't think any white boys are winning marathons or basketball games. Frankly, no, it's not, because it's physique. But there's a fundamental difference.
Hang on a minute, tell us Paula Radcliffe.
There's a fundamental difference here, which is the reason white people aren't so often taxi drivers isn't because they can't do it, it's because they don't want to do it.
Rubbish.
In the reverse, it's not because they can't do it, it's because they don't have access to those top
Benjamin,
jobs.
these DEI policies have poisoned every institution in the land. They need to be ripped out by their roots. Do you not agree with that?
No,
You've not seen this happening. It's you know.
I think what needs to be ripped out by the roots is people like Boris Johnson, who are nothing but posh and hopeless.
We were talking
That's
about
exactly the centre of the
We've been
problem.
talking about the Equality Act. Reform have said they will chuck that out on day one because, you know, it has encouraged tons of vexatious complaints. The race complaints have increased 7-fold since the Equality Act was introduced in 2010. 7-fold.
Right.
Nothing to say about that.
Because the other aspect to this for me is if you just look at the state of play at Britain at the moment, I brought up some figures there about current school-age children. So the racial demographics in terms of you'd call it diversity. I mean, the lack of white people in a lot of those areas, and also the lack of English as a first language. So this is what I'm looking at. You look at that's coming down the track in 10 years' time, say, maybe a bit more, maybe. Some of those kids, they'll leave school, they'll be adults, right? So then, why are they still benefiting from these graduate schemes when, let's be honest, there's absolutely loads of them, right? So why are they benefiting, whereas working-class white boys are the worst performing at schools?
I think this is why we really need to get this resolved, because trying to resolve social problems with law is utterly reprehensible, actually. It's a big problem now. What we need to do that is in the demos with the public. We have to do that with political solutions. We may have moral ideas about what should happen, how things are organised, where wealth is, who does well. But the idea of a meritocracy or people be able to achieve things in a modern contemporary society can't be governed by constant laws and constant rights. It's a real problem. We've got a situation now where lawyers construct these things and it actually divides us, and then we start understanding ourselves in terms of these very identities rather than saying we need proper integration. What we should be doing in Britain is having institutions and having an insistence on an integration, having that within our education across the civil service, insisting on that so that the issues of, let's say, areas that haven't integrated, some people call them ghettos, where there isn't a lot of English-speaking language, and the values of history and culture and what makes Britain so important, that people accept them, they become proud of them, and then we get to see who really delivers with merit.
Finally on this, I want to ask you this, right? If I said to you now, Benjamin, look, thank you. You've been here from the start. It's been tremendous. I've loved every minute. I know we socialised. You came to my wedding. You know, thank you very much. But we have decided, actually, that what we need to do here is that we need to instead employ someone who is from Somalia, right? And we've decided that you've got to go. Right? How would you feel about that?
Well, I was born in a council estate, so and I got into LSE from being a poorer household. So I dare say I still tick your box.
You're not answering the question.
But I mean, look, I do think it's important to have different voices. Otherwise, you miss out. And can I just say in response?
So he's basically said he's going to give up his job and let someone from Somalia come and do it.
I've been volunteering, Carol, for 5 years.
No, you haven't. Oh no, you haven't. It's interesting. Last year, intelligence services said they had an internship and they wouldn't let white people apply. They're opening up a massive security risk for our security services. Imagine that. Who are the security services tailing most in this country? Hello, Islamists. There's a few that might be in there now, thanks to last year's internship, where white people couldn't apply. Well done.
We don't know, do we? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I imagine the intelligence services who are probably watching and listening would deny that they've allowed Islamists to wander in through the front door.
Well, they might, but they can't deny that they stopped white people from applying.
Well, that's true. Yes, I suppose they did. Right, OK, I believe. Anyway, right, the National Audit Office spokesman has said our long-running diversity internship schemes offer valuable work experience in the audit sector. The internship opens doors to people who are underrepresented in the sector, including anyone from less affluent backgrounds. In a statement on their website, the Bank of England says evidence shows historic underrepresentation of people of black heritage in our graduate intake. The bank's Black Heritage-sponsored internship is a targeted initiative designed to address the lack of participation and disadvantage suffered by people of black heritage and low socioeconomic status in early careers. The programme complements our wider internship offering, which is open to students of all backgrounds. So there we go. Right, OK, well, time for the Great British Giveaway. I'm afraid you can only enter if you are from a mixed ethnic minority background or of low socio... No, not at all. It's open to all, and it's loads of cash. Here's Hayley Spark.
Welcome to the Imperial Island Resort in Paphos. There's an incredible £76,543.21 in tax-free cash to be won. Cash to spend however you like. Which means you really could be enjoying the 5-star treatment this summer. Cheers! All that cash could take you on the trip of a lifetime or just enable you to relax in the knowledge that the rest of the year is on us. You could really make a splash this summer.
For a chance to win £76,543.21 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB21 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 26th of June. This is a network giveaway. Entries will be pooled. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
All right, loads coming your way, including this.
Do we have a two-tier type policing system? I would refute that. I would say absolutely not.
Well, some shocking new information emerged about Henry Novak's killer over the weekend. At least two chances to stop him were missed, and he was given preferential treatment to the point where he was allowed to wander into a police station still armed with a knife, which is remarkable. But before that...
And, you know, unfortunately, Keir is not Winston Churchill.
Well, apparently Trump wants to buy the Chagos Islands. Should we let him? That's next.
I've been in Westminster for a long time, but I know that though power may be here, its effect on people's lives is across the whole of the country. We may be where rules are made, but it's where they're implemented that matters. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for forthright and frank discussion on where Britain has come from, where it's going, and where it will end up. That's State of the Nation, Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Vox Populi, Vox Dei.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From court mornings
to warm family brunches.
From football to tennis in the car.
In the kitchen.
GB News Breakfast is there. With the stories you need and the conversations that matter.
Anyway, let's talk business.
Well, it has been a historic night in British politics.
It's astonishing, isn't it? We're here again. To start your day just right. GB News Breakfast.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you. Bulletins on GB News,
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight. So, should President Trump buy the Chagos Islands? Time for the head-to-head. Well, the reason why I'm asking this is because it's quite a big blow to the Prime Minister's plans to hand the Chagos Islands over to Mauritius and make us all pay for the privilege. President Trump is now reportedly considering buying Diego Garcia, the strategically important UK-US military base. The Prime Minister was forced to shelve his deal with Mauritius after the White House withdrew support, and now officials have drawn up a number of options, including a direct purchase from the US of the islands. Although he initially seemed supportive, President Trump has since attacked the Prime Minister's deal.
Not happy with the UK either. That island that you read about, the lease, okay, he made it for whatever reason, he made a lease of the island. Somebody came and took it away from him. And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Right, well, going head-to-head on this now are Errol Moorcock, who is from Republicans Overseas UK, and Vanessa Callow, who is a Chagosian lead at the Friends of the British Overseas Territories. Thank you very, very much. Vanessa, I'll start with you. My understanding is that the only way that President Trump could buy it is if we do essentially give the islands to Mauritius and then he buys it off them. I take it you would be against that.
At the moment, thank you for the opportunity and GB News. Thank you for the viewer. At the moment, Sagoshan must come first. Everything about sovereignty, we should protect it. The British Overseas Territory need to protect their homeland and the island in general. The government at the moment is getting weaker and weaker because it's not protecting the British people and not their homeland. We, as the British people, we need to stand up and make sure that the friendship that we have with the US-UK long-term friendship to stay and to make sure that we protect our homeland.
Okay.
There's no danger if the Sagoshan return to the island and work together with the US government. There's no no danger at all. So we need to remain British, as the Sagosian want to remain British. The government need to protect and then support the resettlement of the Sagosian on the island, and we work together as we always do. Since 1814, the island was for British.
Absolutely. And look, Errol, can I get you to come back to that, really? Because, I mean, it wasn't just, I think, for the British people and for the Chagosians that we didn't want to give it to Mauritius. It's that we didn't want to give it away at all. So I think the idea of letting President Trump buy it, you know, even though, you know, he's an ally and the US is an ally, it still sticks in the craw a bit, Errol, I think, for a lot of Brits and Chagosians.
Well, I can't imagine why, considering you guys are about to give it away for free and then pay an extraordinary sum. And additionally, consider the fact that we're very close allies, and this is a critical base for B-2 bombers. Our bombers hitting Iran had to fly all the way back to Missouri as opposed to stopping there. And you also have to keep in mind, like, as the British Empire has all of these random locations and came under the wing of the U.S. Empire, these are your territories on paper, but if you're not going to use them for the Western Alliance, then maybe we can find a better agreement, something along the lines of how we have Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. And also with the Chagoan people, why could we not find an agreement with them to make sure that they're taken care of? Mauritius, I've been to Mauritius quite a few times. I don't think the Mauritian people, no offense to them, are native to Chagos Islands. So there's probably is no reason for all of this rigmarole. We can just do this directly through leases and whatnot. But ultimately, this is about making sure that a strategic asset doesn't come under control of Mauritius, which is compromised by the Chinese. Additionally, we have a critical ally in India who very much wants to make sure that this remains under either the Commonwealth or the U.S. But I see no reason why we couldn't create maybe a financial scheme or some way to help the actual native Chagoan people have a say there. But as far as the tactical viability of it, it's something that we can't afford to lose, regardless if the UK wants to feel bad about their colonial past. That's not really our problem.
Yeah, no, just quickly on this, Errol, before I give Vanessa the final word. Is Trump deadly serious here about wanting to buy the Chagos Islands?
Oh, 100%. And this is probably the most realistic of his targets in the short term. It's definitely serious because of what we've seen in Iran and how important it is toward Indian Ocean security and the second half of the 21st century.
OK, so Vanessa, look, I suppose the obvious question is, hopefully, and we're on the same page with this, hopefully we don't give it away at all. I think it's absolute madness and everything. So there is that. However, sometimes things are out of our control, sadly. And if Keir Starmer decides that he wants to go and give it away to Mauritius, would you rather have Mauritius in charge of these islands or Trump's America?
I really like the President Trump, but is our island. We need to support it. We need to protect it. If we started giving away island or buying, let other foreign country buying island from us, so that will be really a disaster for the British people. This is our island. We need to protect it for our future generation. That's why we have a House of Lords on the 5th of June 2026, a law where passed the first reading for the British Sovereignty Chagos Island Protection Bill. We need to start to protect our heritage. Absolutely. And this is our value. It's not only for the Chagosian, it's for all the British people. We need to stand up for our country. This is the time now.
Yeah, I agree. Look, thank you, both of you. It's a fascinating discussion because it's kind of knocked it on a bit, the Trump thing. I mean, it was sadly inevitable, really, given the way that the Labour government has been messing around with the Chagos Islands. But look, thank you so much, both. You really appreciate it. It's Errol Moorcock there, who is from Republican Overseas UK, and Vanessa Callot, who is Chagosian lead at the Friends of the British Overseas Territory. Take care, both of you. Thank you very much. OK, right, at 10 p.m, we're going to do this.
We have said we are sorry for handcuffing and arresting Henry at that time.
Well, shocking new detail has emerged of Henry Novak's killer, and the police officers missed 2 chances at least to stop him, and they didn't even bother to search him after they arrested him and gave him preferential treatment. Then they tried to influence the trial. How on earth has the boss of Hampshire Police still got a job? But before that...
How many frigates do we have in the fleet?
We have
Good grief. Our aircraft carrier, knackered. Our destroyers, broken. And now our submarines don't seem to work either. That's next.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
If you're looking to get towards the Mediterranean this week, we've got some nice and hot weather for most places. There are a few showers around for Turkey and mainland Greece, but lovely sunshine for much of Italy. Temperatures up in the 30s as well. Again, some lovely sunshine for mainland Spain. A few showers up towards the north, but for Madeira and the Canary Islands, we do have this northerly wind bringing in some cloud. But for the rest of the week, almost wall-to-wall sunshine and temperatures up near the 30s.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pierce.
And me, Miriam Cates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Some people enjoy lazy Sunday mornings, but not me.
What's the truth of the matter?
So that's a very live question.
Would you support him if he waters down these plans?
Before the spin sets in, I'll be getting to the truth.
This is personal.
No soft questions, no easy answers.
It's one thing if the state has rules in this country. It's another thing whether the police and others actually police them.
Setting the agenda and holding those in power to account.
You can't really blame her if the system is set up this way.
You will not want to miss it, trust me. The Camilla Tominey Show, Sundays from 9:30, only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain, with our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News bulletins are there to deliver the latest news that matters to you.
Bulletins on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christie's Tonight, only on GB News. So, our enemies will be rubbing their hands tonight amid reports that the Royal Navy's entire submarine fleet is stuck in dock, awaiting maintenance. The 5 hunter-killer boats should be protecting the Vanguard submarines that carry nuclear Trident missiles and deterring Russia's underwater fleet. But instead, they're all out of action. A 6th, which was commissioned into the fleet, is not yet ready to deploy. Now, over the weekend, it was also revealed that HMS Prince of Wales has been forced to stop off in Norway for repairs just weeks into the warship's deployment in the High North, and that is apparently our flagship aircraft carrier. And, of course, it comes after all of the hoo-ha that we had with HMS Dragon and basically it not being able to get to the Mediterranean. I'm joined now by former senior military intelligence officer Philip Ingram. Philip, I don't take any joy in doing these stories because I don't really like the idea of talking our country down militarily and all of that stuff, but, you know, it is, well, it sounds bad. Is it bad?
It's very bad indeed. Right. You know, the availability is shocking, and we can't carry out the roles that we need to carry. You know, the aircraft carrier should be accompanied by a submarine to protect it as it's going on around its business. It doesn't have a British submarine that's able to do that. As you said, our nuclear deterrent needs to be protected. Our undersea cables need to be protected. Air defence, we need that around areas of conflict. We've got one Type 45 destroyer that is working or not working. That's the only one that can provide ballistic missile air defence, well, if it's got the right missiles. And we've got no submarines, as you've highlighted, available. And this is down to the previous government's policies and current government's policies in short-termism when it comes to allocating funds to the MOD.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking there, really, that, you know, for all of this talk about standing up to Putin and China and all of that, I mean, it's essentially just goodwill that's stopping them from invading us at the moment, isn't it? I mean, do we have a navy?
Well, we've got a navy, and our navy is very capable. You know, the personnel are capable. The ships that are actually getting to sea can do what they need to with the crews that are on it. The crews are fantastic at making things work, even if big things are breaking. You know, the ingenuity of the British military, whether they be navy, army, or air force, is phenomenal. The difficulty is, and the reason why we've got so many of our attack submarines stuck in dock, is that it's bureaucracy that then comes in. You know, what needs to happen is for these vessels to go out on their long-term patrols, and these patrols can be months on end. Everything for their nuclear safety every box needs to be ticked, but it's to civil nuclear security standards that are done, and therefore everything has to be fixed to a very high standard. But the government isn't giving the money in over a long-term period. It's all short-term money, and therefore the money isn't being allocated to allow them to do these long-term planning, long-term maintenance, and that's why they can't tick the right boxes to get the safety cases to go to sea, and they just sit tied up.
Yeah, and again, it's the catalogue of thing. I mean, HMS Dragon trying to get over to Cyprus for a while, and that really was a bit of a national embarrassment. Not for the people on board, by the way. And again, I'm at pains to say, not for the people who are actually in the military and doing the day-to-day job and all of that stuff in the Navy, etc. You know, that's not what I'm criticising here at all. It's the people who've been not making long-term decisions for the, well, probably the best part of 20 years by the sounds of things. But one of those people who's currently in charge is, of course, our Defence Secretary, John Healey, who delivered this iconic moment on LBC.
How many frigates do we have in the fleet? We have 17 frigates and destroyers. It's down from 23 at the end of the last Labour government.
Yeah, I mean, he went on to not really be able to say how many we could actually use. So there's that. Should the British public be seriously worried here?
Oh, the British public should be more than seriously worried, because, you know, I describe this as our 1936 or 1938 moment. You know, we've got a massive war in Europe. We've got a war in the Middle East. We've got brewing potential conflicts down in Southeast Asia. It's all joining up, the Middle East and Europe. You know, Russia and Iran are coming together. And, you know, we're not investing in our military because our government can't make its mind up. We had a strategic defence review that the current government chose to do as soon as they came in and said, that will set the conditions for how we're going to do defence. Linked to that, there has to be how you're going to fund it. That's the Defence Investment Plan. It's over 12 months since the review was done, and they still haven't published and can't give us a date for publishing the Defence Investment Plan. The review is now out of date. The situation has changed. So it's all garbage. We're in real trouble, very real trouble.
Yeah. Oh, good grief. Look, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Philip Ingram, great to see you. All the very best. The MOD has said that it did not routinely comment on the state of the UK's submarine service, but insisted that the UK's waters were always protected with a range of assets. They went on to say strengthening and sustaining our submarine capability is a top priority, and we are taking decisive action to ensure its long-term resilience. Coming up...
Do we have a two-tier type policing system? I would refute that. I would say absolutely not.
There is some unbelievably shocking detail that's emerged over the weekend about Henry Novak's killer and the way that the police acted. But before that, the Met Police have been handed a dossier of evidence about the prime suspect in the Maddie McCann case. So, have they finally cracked it? I'll reveal what's inside that dossier in just a few minutes.
Breaking news, live updates, stories that matter.
From the heart of the GB newsroom to every corner of Britain.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
GB News Bulletin.